Chapter 2213, Controlling the Divine 9E Dragon Cauldron. Chapter 2213, Controlling the Divine 9 Dragon Cauldron. The intense battle continued, but the situation for the Heaven Realm was getting worse and worse. They had too few people. Dandan, are we just going to watch? Is there any way one can help? Lu Ming asked anxiously. Although he had the Heavenly Emperor body, it only had a little more than 10% of its energy. However, the evil god tribe had a bunch of great emperors, and there were many peak great emperors. In a great battle like this, the celestial emperor's corporeal body was not of much use at all. He was afraid that if he controlled the arch-corporeal body to go out, the energy would be exhausted in a few moments. At that time, he could only wait for death. The difference in our cultivation is too great. We can't help it all. Dandan was also a little anxious. No matter how much he knew, how resourceful he was, and how many tricks he had up his sleeve, he was at his wits' end. That's right. Suddenly, Lu Ming thought of something. His eyes lit up and he said, "Where's the Divine 9 Dragon Cauldron? Where did it go? If we have the Divine 9 Dragon Cauldron, we might be able to help." Lu Ming had refined 9 drops of 9 dragons' blood essence and could control the Divine 9 Dragon Cauldron. As long as he could find the Divine 9 Dragon Cauldron, given his current cultivation level, the power of the Divine 9 Dragon Cauldron would definitely be shocking. Let's look around the vicinity. Dandan's eyes lit up. The two immediately concealed their auras and avoided the battlefield, searching nearby. Lu Ming was highly focused and sensed carefully. However, they didn't dare to get close to the battlefield and could only search the surrounding area. However, they couldn't find anything after searching for a long time. The two of them did not give up and continued to search. When the two of them came to the back of the passage entrance, Lu Ming suddenly sensed something. He could feel the blood in his body heating up and circulating faster. There it is, I really sensed it. Lu Ming's eyes lit up and he looked around. This was a messy pile of stones. These rocks aren't natural. They were shattered. Could it be that the Divine 9 Dragon Cauldron was underground and was blasted into the ground? Dandan guessed. The two of them rushed into the rubble. Lu Ming's feeling was getting stronger and stronger. Let me do it. Dandan's entire body glowed, and then she transformed into her true form, turning into a huge turtle. I'm digging. The huge turtle began to dig into the ground with its 4 limbs. Immediately, broken stones flew everywhere and large pieces of soil were lifted up. Not long after, a piece of metal was exposed. It's really the Divine 9 Dragon Cauldron. Lu Ming was overjoyed. This piece of metal was made of the same material as the Divine 9 Dragon Cauldron. Lu Ming could not be mistaken. Dandan was also excited and dug madly, using the power of laws. A large area of soil shook and was thrown out. Lu Ming also helped by turning the chaos laws into the laws of the earth to help with the excavation. Large pieces of soil loosened and flew out. The first Divine 9 Dragon Cauldron was revealed, followed by the second one, the third one. Soon, 9 Divine 9 Dragon Cauldrons the size of mountains appeared in their field of vision. The 9 dragon veins are gone. No, they are on the Dragon Cauldron. Lu Ming's eyes swept across the place and he noticed something different about the Divine 9 Dragon Cauldron. The Divine 9 Dragon Cauldron was originally engraved with a real dragon pattern, but now, there was an additional pattern on it. This pattern was extremely similar to a dragon's vein, and it was extremely lifelike. However, the Divine 9 Dragon Cauldron didn't seem to have any energy fluctuations. It was like scrap metal. Lu Ming was hugging the Divine 9 Dragon Cauldron, but it did not react at all. What's going on? Why isn't there any reaction? Lu Ming was puzzled. It should be that the energy has been exhausted. Even the energy of the dragon vein has been exhausted, Dandan said, frowning in deep thought. It was conceivable that the previous battle was absolutely brutal. Even the energy of the Divine 9 Dragon Cauldron and the 9 dragon veins had been exhausted. However, the results of the battle were also shocking. The passageway was destroyed, and the old ancestor of the evil god race was severely injured. Lu Ming, you've refined the blood essence of the 9 dragons. Let's try it with your blood. Dandan suddenly said. All right. Lu Ming nodded. Blood seeped out of his palm. Lu Ming's figure flickered as he slapped the divine 9-dragon cauldron continuously, leaving a bloody handprint on each of the 9 cauldrons. Resuscitate! Lu Ming roared. The muscles on his body bulged and the blood qi in his body circulated wildly. A dragon's roar came from Lu Ming's body and reverberated through the sky. It was the voice of the 9 dragons. There's someone over there. The dragon's roar spread far and wide, finally alarming the evil god tribe. A few ants, I'll go and kill him. One of the evil god race members strode toward Lu Ming and the others at an astonishing speed. This was a great emperor from the evil god race. Lu Ming, hurry up. Dandan was anxious. Revive! Lu Ming roared, his blood boiling and the dragon's roar reverberating. Buzz! Buzz! Whoosh! The divine 9-dragon cauldron finally reacted. The bloody handprint that Lu Ming left on the divine cauldron glowed and was then absorbed by the divine 9-dragon cauldron. The divine 9-dragon cauldron began to shake and its aura became stronger and stronger. The divine 9-dragon cauldron was starting to recover. Revive! Lu Ming continued to roar. The shadow of 9 dragons appeared above his head, causing the divine 9-dragon cauldron to shake even more violently. At this moment, the evil god tribe's great emperor had already arrived. Kill! The evil god tribe's the arch shouted coldly. A beam of destructive light shot out from between his brows, enveloping Lu Ming and Dandan within it. I'm finished, I'm finished! Dandan screamed. Rise! Lu Ming bellowed. With a wave of his hand, the divine 9-dragon cauldron rushed out from the ground and blocked in front of him. Clang! The destructive light of the evil god tribe's great emperor slammed onto the divine 9-dragon cauldron, causing it to tremble violently. The destructive light had been blocked. Suppress! Following that, Lu Ming pushed out with one hand, and the divine 9-dragon cauldron expanded once more, blasting toward the evil god tribe's the arch. You ant-like thing, you dare to attack me? The evil god tribe's great emperor shouted coldly as a beam of light shot out from his glabella once more, blasting towards the divine 9-dragon cauldron. However, this time around, a dragon's roar rang out from the divine 9-dragon cauldron. It was even more powerful than before. With a single shake, it was able to destroy the destructive light of the evil god tribe's great emperor before continuing on its way. The evil god tribe's great emperor's eyes narrowed as a battle axe appeared in his hands. He then swung the axe toward the divine 9-dragon cauldron. Clang! Deafening rumbles resounded through the sky. The divine 9-dragon cauldron was blocked, but the evil god tribe's great emperor's body trembled violently. He couldn't help but retreat as his face turned pale. What a powerful force again! Lu Ming was overjoyed. With his current cultivation, controlling the divine 9-dragon cauldron had indeed made it more powerful. However, perhaps it had something to do with the self-recovery of the divine 9-dragon cauldron before. Its power had become even more astonishing. Boom! The divine 9-dragon cauldron continued to press down on the other party. At the same time, the auras of the other divine 9-dragon cauldrons were getting stronger and stronger. Buzz! Following that, the second divine 9-dragon cauldron flew out. Together with the first divine 9-dragon cauldron, it pressed down toward the evil god tribe's great emperor. Chapter 22:14. Lu Ming kills a great emperor in a frenzy. Chapter 22:14. Lu Ming kills a great emperor in a frenzy. The two divine 9-dragon cauldrons resonated together, and their power was more than doubled. Boom! As the first one came down, the evil god tribe's great emperor's body trembled violently as he coughed out a large mouthful of blood. The arm that was holding onto the battle axe let out a cracking sound as even his bone armor was broken. Boom! The second cauldron pressed down, and the evil god tribe's great emperor let out a blood-curdling screech as his body was torn into pieces. He had fallen. Although a great emperor should only be a low-level great emperor, he was killed by the continuous attacks of the two divine 9-dragon cauldrons. The divine 9-dragon cauldron had awakened, and its power was terrifying. Damn it, go and kill them! In the distance, some of the evil god race members noticed this and roared out in rage. Buzz! 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 There were at least 5 to 6 members of the evil god tribe charging toward Lu Ming and the others. There were even high-level great emperors among them. Come on, full recovery. Lu Ming let out a long howl. Lu Ming's body glowed as a 9-dragon coiled around him. The 9 divine 9-dragon cauldrons were all shaking, and dragon roars were constantly heard. The 9 dragon veins that were wrapped around the divine 9-dragon cauldrons seemed to have come to life. They shone with light and looked alive. Buzz! Buzz! Whoosh! Then, the 9 divine 9-dragon cauldrons all flew up and hovered around Lu Ming and Dandan. One of them was floating above the 2 of them, emitting a beam of light that enveloped the 2 of them. The other 8 were floating around the 2 of them. At this moment, the evil god tribe had also arrived. The 6 experts of the evil god tribe were all at the Great Emperor realm, and there were even high-level great emperors among them. With so many great emperors working together, it was absolutely terrifying. Kill! Lu Ming roared and pushed with both hands. The 8 divine 9-dragon cauldrons flew out and continued to grow in size. They filled the sky and pressed down on the 6 powerhouses from the evil god tribe. Within the divine 9-dragon cauldron, dragon roars could be heard. The 8 divine cauldrons were even larger than the archaic divine mountain and were filled with endless power. Bang! Bang! Under the pressure of the divine 9-dragon cauldron, the low-level great emperor screamed and died on the spot. The advanced great emperor's body cracked and blood spurted out of his mouth. He was filled with fear. Buzz! The 8 cauldrons trembled and released a terrifying power. The evil god race high-level emperor's body exploded inch by inch and died. What a powerful force! The divine 9-dragon cauldron contains the power of that kid, 9 dragons. He has already fully recovered. Kill him! Dandan laughed out loud, extremely excited. Kill! He opened his mouth and rushed towards the battlefield. He controlled the divine 9-dragon cauldron at an extremely fast speed. At this moment, evil swordsmen and the evil god tribe's old ancestor were still engaged in a fierce battle. Evil swordsman activated his origin energy, and his battle prowess skyrocketed. However, he could only fight to a draw with the evil god race's old ancestor, and it was difficult for him to defeat him. Although the 3 great emperors from 2 World City were peak great emperors, there were too many experts on the other side. At this moment, they were in a precarious situation and were covered in blood. They could die at the hands of the other party at any moment. At this moment, Lu Ming arrived. Out of the 9 cauldrons, one of them protected him while the other 8 charged toward the evil god tribe. The 8 cauldrons covered the sky. On each cauldron, a dragon vein emerged, emitting light and roaring at the sky. The 8 cauldrons resonated with each other, and their power increased by several times. Bang! Bang! As the cauldron pressed down, the evil god tribe members exploded one by one and died on the spot. Those below the Great Emperor realm couldn't put up any resistance. Even some low-level great emperors below the 3-star realm couldn't put up much of a fight and were killed. The 4-star great emperors couldn't block it either. They spat out blood and felt like their bodies were going to explode. A single attack had killed a large number of evil god tribe members. Dandan's eyes lit up and she shouted, "Kill him!" The evil god race roared, and some peak emperors charged toward Lu Ming and Dandan. Lu Ming controlled the divine 9-dragon cauldron and attacked it in turns. Thump, thump, thump. The divine 9-dragon cauldron continued to clash with the peak emperors. Dozens of moves were exchanged in an instant, and the peak emperors were forced back and spat out mouthfuls of blood. His body began to crack. The divine 9-dragon cauldron seemed to have come back to life. It was so powerful that even peak great emperors couldn't fight against it. Kill! The 3 peak great emperors from 2 world cities seized the opportunity to kill one of the peak great emperors. At the same time, Lu Ming controlled the divine 9-dragon cauldron to attack. With Lu Ming's help, they had the upper hand. The evil god tribe's powerhouses were constantly being hunted down. In just a few minutes, more than 200 people from the evil god tribe had been killed, and there were even dozens of great emperor realm experts. This was an astonishing battle achievement. If this was in the primordial realm, it would probably scare people to death. Although this was the battlefield between the Tai Ching heavenly region and the alien tribes, where most of the experts of the 2 worlds were gathered, it was rare for dozens of great emperors to fall at once. The evil god tribes the arch was a little afraid. When he saw Lu Ming, he retreated one after another. Go help senior evil swordsman. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He controlled the divine nine-dragon cauldron and flew toward the battlefield where evil swordsman and the evil god race's patriarch were. Suppress! Lu Ming shouted and pushed with both hands. The 8 divine nine-dragon cauldrons flew out and pressed down on the evil god race's old master. You two ants, you're looking for death. The evil god tribe's old ancestor bellowed in rage. Lu Ming had just killed so many of the evil god tribe's powerhouses, and his killing intent was extremely strong. Beams of light shot out of his third eye. They were the light of destruction. However, the evil god tribe's patriarch's destructive light was not just a beam of light. It could actually transform into 3-eyed magical beasts that were as large as mountains. They pounced toward Lu Ming and collided with the divine nine-dragon cauldron. Boom! Boom! A terrifying tremor resounded through the firmament. The void was constantly disintegrating as if it was about to return to chaos. The 8 cauldrons were sent flying back. Lu Ming felt a terrifying force pressing down on him, almost causing his body to explode. Lu Ming retreated hastily. His face was pale and the qi and blood in his body were boiling. What a terrifying power! Only then did Lu Ming understand that the evil god tribe's patriarch was too powerful. He could not be mentioned in the same breath as a great emperor. There was a huge gap between them. Even though the evil god race's patriarch was already heavily injured and was still in a battle with evil swordsmen, the destructive light emitted by his third eye was still able to force the divine nine-dragon cauldron back and almost injure Lu Ming. Dandan, let's enter the divine cauldron. Lu Ming said to Dandan. Dandan nodded, and then the two of them flew into the divine cauldron above their heads. Inside the divine cauldron, the protective power was even stronger. External forces would be blocked by the divine cauldron. Then, Lu Ming controlled the divine nine-dragon cauldron and made it fly out to join the other 8 divine cauldrons. The power of the 9 cauldrons combined was even more terrifying. The divine nine-dragon cauldron spun and charged toward the evil god race's old ancestor. Boom! This time around, he finally managed to shatter the demonic beasts that were formed from the other party's destructive light and blasted them toward the evil god race's old ancestor's body. Buzz! The sword howled. How could evil swordsman miss such an opportunity? He used all his strength and slashed out with a shocking sword strike. Chapter 22:15. Chapter 22:14, Peerless Expert. Chapter 22:15. Chapter 2214 Peerless Expert. Evil Swordsman's sword attack was peerless and breathtaking. It finally broke through the evil god race's old ancestor's attack and charged towards the other party. The evil god race's cultivation method was not a system of laws. It was very similar to the Heaven Realm's ancient system. They cultivated a strange power that was extremely powerful and could both attack and defend. At this moment, evil swordsman's sword light had cut it open, leaving a deep sword wound on his body. His scales had been cut open, and blood was flowing out. The evil god race's old ancestor let out a furious roar, and a layer of purple light covered his entire body as he charged towards evil swordsman. At this moment, Lu Ming rode the divine nine-dragon cauldron and charged over again. The divine nine-dragon cauldron resonated with each other and crushed down toward the evil god race's old master. The evil god race's old master waved the weapon in his hands and continued to strike out. Boom, boom, boom. The divine nine-dragon cauldron rumbled continuously and was finally blown away. However, evil swordsman's attack arrived again. The evil god race's patriarch was already severely injured, and his combat strength had been greatly reduced. Now that he was being attacked by Lu Ming and evil swordsman, he was at a complete disadvantage. The other members of the evil god tribe were shocked. If even the evil god race's old ancestor was no match for it, then how was this passageway supposed to be opened? The 3 experts from Two World City were overjoyed. It was a pleasant surprise that Lu Ming could control the divine nine-dragon cauldron and burst out with infinite combat strength. This gave them a chance to turn the tables. However, at this moment, their expressions changed drastically. Because in the distance, There were a few extremely terrifying auras that were spreading towards this side. The few of them looked in one direction. Over there were 3 huge demonic shadows, and they were coming over. The strength of his aura was not any weaker than that of the evil god tribe's old ancestor. The evil god tribe's peerless experts. And 3 of them have come at once. The 3 people from Two World City were pale and desperate. In the Heavenly Emperor realm, there was a huge gap between each level. The gap between each level was huge. Only Heavenly Emperor powerhouses above the 4-star Heavenly Emperor realm could be called peerless powerhouses. Such a person was already standing at the peak of the world. He was in existence at the top of the pyramid of all living beings, and his power was unbelievable. The reason why this ancient battlefield was so terrifying was because there had been a battle between a group of peerless powerhouses in the past. Even the immortal imprints left behind after the death of many peerless powerhouses were extremely terrifying. One could only imagine how powerful a peerless expert was. Now, there were 3 of them. In the Divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron, Lu Ming and Dandan could also sense the situation outside. At this time, their expressions also changed drastically. "It's them!" Lu Ming roared. Back then, when he had crossed over from the primordial realm, he had seen the 4 huge demonic shadows of the evil god tribe fighting against the Divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron. It was obvious that they were the 4 of them. "The patriarchs are here!" The members of the evil god tribe were overjoyed. In order to seize this passageway, the evil god race had made ample preparations. They had first sent a large army to attack the Two World City so that the experts of the Heaven Realm could not be distracted and come to their aid. They had then opened this passageway. When the evil god tribe's army entered the primordial realm, the situation would be set. "Kill!" In the distance, an old ancestor of the evil god race roared, causing the void to explode continuously. The scene was extremely terrifying. "Damn it!" Evil swordsman also roared in anger. It was already difficult to deal with one of the evil god race's old ancestors, and now there were 3 more. He could sense that the evil god race's old ancestor was injured, and his strength was not as strong as before. However, it was still extremely shocking. The 3 demonic shadows came at top speed. Boom. However, at this moment, a violent boom erupted in the distant sky. The void shattered, and a huge hand stretched out from the dark void. The hand was incomparably huge, and it emanated the might of the heavenly Tao as it smashed toward the 3 evil god race's old ancestors. "Who is it?" The old ancestor of the Learning God clan roared and blasted out attacks one after another at the huge hand. Boom. The void was shattered, as if the world had been destroyed and turned back into chaos. With a terrifying explosion, the huge hand exploded. But then a figure appeared in that area. This figure was shrouded in divine light, and his appearance couldn't be seen clearly. One could only roughly sense that he was burly and filled with supreme majesty. Boom. The figure continued to attack, sending out terrifying palm prints that headed toward the 3 old masters of the evil god race. "It's a peerless expert from our heaven realm." The 3 experts from Two World City were ecstatic. In the end, a peerless expert from the heaven realm had arrived. The old ancestor of the evil god race was injured in the end. Right now, the 3 of them were being suppressed by a peerless expert from the heaven realm. The 3 of them were extremely unwilling and let out angry roars. If they were at their peak, they wouldn't be weaker than the other party. Unfortunately, they were all injured, and their strength had been greatly reduced. That was why they were so aggrieved. The 3 of them were suppressed by the other party. "You go kill them. Leave this person to the 2 of us." At this moment, one of the evil god race's old masters roared as the light on his body grew brighter and brighter. 2 of the evil god race's old ancestors were going all out. They ignored their injuries and forcefully raised their combat strength to the peak, killing their way toward the peerless experts of the heaven realm. The 3 of them collided in a terrifying manner and fought their way into the depths of the dark void. The remaining evil god tribe's old ancestor charged toward Lu Ming and the others. "Ants die, die!" The evil god race's old master roared and reached out with a palm. A terrifying radiance emanated from his palm as he grabbed at Lu Ming. From a distance, the terrifying pressure pressed on the divine nine-dragon cauldron, making it buzz and shake. Kill! Lu Ming controlled the divine nine-dragon cauldron and blasted it at the other party. Boom! Boom! The divine nine-dragon cauldron collided with the opponent's attack. It kept shaking and then was sent flying one by one. Lu Ming and Dandan, who were hiding in the divine nine-dragon cauldron, were also shaken violently. Their chi and blood were boiling. Buzz! The evil god race's old master charged over. His massive body started to shrink, and in the end, he became the size of a normal human. This old master of the evil god tribe did not look much different from a human. He had a head full of purple hair and was extremely handsome. The only difference was that there was a third eye between his eyebrows. This was a royal member of the evil god tribe. The royal race of the evil god race was too powerful. Even though they were injured, their combat strength was still extremely terrifying. His entire body was enveloped in a layer of purple light. The third eye between his brows glowed, and 9 sparkling and resplendent combat swords actually flew out, slashing towards the 9 divine cauldrons. Buzz! Whoosh! The combat sword continued to slash at the divine nine-dragon cauldron, causing sparks to fly and the cauldron to shake. Lu Ming and Dandan were hiding in that cauldron, surrounded by the other 8 cauldrons. Even though they were separated by layers of defense, the other party's terrifying power still gushed in, causing Lu Ming to vomit blood. Dandan's cultivation level was higher, so it was better. The situation was not good for Lu Ming and the rest. If this continued, even if they were separated by the divine nine-dragon cauldron, they would still be shocked to death by the other party. The main reason was that the difference in cultivation was too great. If Lu Ming's cultivation was at the true emperor realm, the situation would be much better. Awaken! Divine nine-dragon cauldron. Lu Ming bellowed, channeling the chi and blood in his body with all his might, making his chi and blood boil even more. Chapter 22:16. Chapter 22:15. 9 Dragons reappears. Chapter 22:16. Chapter 2215. 9 Dragons reappears in Lu Ming's body. His chi and blood were surging like the water of a river, and they were swimming like real dragons. Dragon roars were heard as the illusionary 9 dragons that surrounded Lu Ming suddenly collapsed and rushed into Lu Ming's body. Then, 9 drops of blood essence flew out of Lu Ming's body. 9 dragon blood essence. Lu Ming did not need to think to know that this was the blood essence of the 9 dragons. The blood essence of the 9 dragons that he had refined in his body actually flew out of his body. All of a sudden, Lu Ming felt extremely weak. The strength of his physical body was rapidly weakening. The 9 drops of blood essence of the 9 dragons glowed and flew into the 9 divine nine-dragon cauldrons. At this moment, the 9 divine nine-dragon cauldrons burst out with dragon roars. At the same time, the 9 divine nine-dragon cauldrons began to merge. This sudden change caused the face of the evil god race's old ancestor to change, and he unleashed an even stronger attack. However, the divine nine-dragon cauldron completed its fusion as it shook. The 9 cauldrons fused into one. Lu Ming and Dandan were still in the divine nine-dragon cauldron. The 9 cauldrons combined into one, and their power increased greatly. They were even larger than mountains, filling the sky and suppressing the other party. Thump! Boom! His opponent's combat sword kept striking the divine nine-dragon cauldron. However, the power of the 9 cauldrons was indeed stronger. With a shake, his opponent's combat sword exploded inch by inch. Kill! The divine nine-dragon cauldron didn't stop and continued to attack the other party. Boom! The other party's palms struck the divine nine-dragon cauldron. The divine cauldron was unscathed, but the other party's body trembled violently and was forced to retreat. Kill, kill, kill! Lu Ming's killing intense sword. He took the opportunity to control the divine nine-dragon cauldron and bombarded it at his opponent. The divine nine-dragon cauldron's attack was brutal and direct. There was no technique involved, and it simply crushed the opponent. Kill, kill, kill this fucking dog! Dandan shouted. Boom! The evil god race's old master was sent flying once more, and he was forced to retreat. His purple hair fluttered in the wind, and his eyes were filled with rage. "Ant!" The evil god race's old ancestor bellowed. He could sense Lu Ming and Danden's cultivation in the divine nine-dragon cauldron. In his eyes, such cultivation was no different from that of ants. But now he was being suppressed by 2 ants. This made him furious. As he roared, the body of the evil god tribe's old master rapidly grew in size. In the end, he surpassed the mountain peak and reached into the clouds. He was even bigger than the divine nine-dragon cauldron. At the same time, the light on his body grew even brighter, and his aura continued to rise. Not good, this guy is going to go all out. He's going to raise his combat strength to the peak regardless of his injuries. Danden exclaimed. Boom. At this moment, the aura of the evil god tribe's old ancestor reached its peak. A beam of light burst out of the third eye and turned into a huge sword, which slashed toward the divine nine-dragon cauldron. The divine nine-dragon cauldron also emitted a layer of light and rumbled toward the other party. Thump. A terrifying vibration was heard as the area exploded. The ground cracked and the space was smashed. They appeared in the dark void and continued to fight. The evil god race's old master slammed out with his palm. The huge palm covered the entire sky as it struck the divine nine-dragon cauldron. The divine nine-dragon cauldron shook violently again. The evil god tribe's old ancestor then unleashed a storm of attacks. At this moment, the evil god race's old ancestor was raising his combat strength to the peak without caring about his injuries. This was truly shocking. This was a true peerless expert, a figure that was revered in the universe. He was simply too strong. At this moment, even if the 9 divine dragon cauldrons were combined, it would be difficult to defeat the other party. The divine nine-dragon cauldron was suppressed, but the dragon roars were endless and getting louder and louder. Finally, a real dragon emerged from the divine nine-dragon cauldron. No, it was 9 dragons. There were 9 dragons with 9 claws under their bellies. The 9 dragons appeared. At first, they were still very illusory, but they became more and more solid. In the end, they were so lifelike that they seemed real, as if the 9 dragons had come back to life. Whoa, the 9 dragons have appeared. No, this is the combination of his blood essence and the mark of the divine nine-dragon cauldron. It's not a real entity. Danden shouted. The 9 dragons let out long roars, and their eyes shone as bright as the sun. Their dragon claws stepped through the air as they pounced toward the evil god race's old master. 9 dragons? The evil god race's old master roared as a look of fear flashed across his eyes. Even though he was the old ancestor of the evil god tribe, he wasn't someone who had survived from the ancient era. He had been born later and had never seen the 9 dragons before. However, he had heard of the rumors about 9 dragons. Each of the Heaven Realm's top 10 battle beasts was a peak expert and extremely terrifying. Back then, countless experts of the evil god tribe had died at their hands. His ancestors had all died at the hands of the top 10 beasts. When he saw the 9 dragons, he subconsciously felt a little scared. However, he immediately reacted. These were not real dragons, so what was there to be afraid of? He let out a loud roar and charged towards the 9 dragons, engaging in a battle with them. After all, the 9 dragons were only 9 drops of blood essence, and they were manifested by the mark in the divine nine-dragon cauldron. Their strength was far inferior to that of their peak. As for the evil god race's old master, he had already raised his strength to his peak. The battle between the 2 sides was difficult to determine a winner in a short time. Lu Ming, it's more important to completely destroy that passageway. Don't get entangled with the other party. At this moment, Evil Swordsman's voice was heard. Not bad. Lu Ming nodded secretly and sent a voice transmission to Evil Swordsman. Senior, how can we completely destroy that passage? Control the 9 dragons and have them bombard the passageway. Turn the space there into nothingness and return it to chaos. In that case, it will take at least 100 years for the passageway to reappear. This will buy us some time. Evil Sword Guest said. All right. Lu Ming made his decision and began to control the divine nine-dragon cauldron. Boom. The 9 dragons exchanged another blow with the other party, then turned around and rushed back to the original passage. The divine nine-dragon cauldron was right under the 9 dragons. It followed the 9 dragons and moved rapidly toward the original passage. If you want to leave, then stay. The evil god race's old master roared and chased after Lu Ming. Lu Ming controlled the divine nine-dragon cauldron at a very fast speed. In the blink of an eye, they arrived at the original passageway. The 9 dragons roared and stomped with their 9 claws. A terrifying attack blasted towards that position. The space in that area was constantly exploding, turning into the tiniest particles. Back then, although the passageway had collapsed and exploded, it had not been completely destroyed. From time to time, a spatial rift would appear. This way, it was still possible to open it with some powerful means. However, if it was completely destroyed, it would be difficult to open it in a short time. Naturally, the evil god race's old ancestor knew what Lu Ming was up to. He was instantly enraged and charged toward Lu Ming. However, right at this moment, a dragon's roar rang out from the depths of the sky. An incomparably huge true dragon appeared, and its dragon claws grabbed out toward the evil god race's old ancestor. It's this true dragon. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Back then, when he had passed through the passageway and arrived in the heaven realm, he had seen the divine 9-dragon cauldron bring along the 9 dragon veins and fight against the evil god tribe's patriarch. At that time, there was also an incomparably huge true dragon that had participated in the battle, and its strength was terrifying. Chapter 22:17. Chapter 22:17. Passage completely collapses. Chapter 22:17. Chapter 2217 passage completely collapses. Previously, Lu Ming had not seen the true dragon and thought that it had already fallen. Now it seemed that it had not. This true dragon was entangled with the evil god race's old master, preventing him from coming over. Lu Ming controlled the divine 9-dragon cauldron with all his might, causing the 9 dragons to bombard the space continuously. The space kept exploding. Don't tell me this is the ancestral dragon. At this moment, Dandan looked at the huge true dragon in the sky, dumbfounded and shocked. Ancestral dragon? What was it? A senior? Lu Ming asked curiously. It was rare to see something that could make Dandan so shocked. Lu Ming was very surprised. That's not right. It's not the ancestor dragon. If it was really him, he could have killed this evil god tribe member with just a breath. No, it's just a wisp of his aura. Dandan seemed to have not heard Lu Ming's words. She was mumbling to herself, still looking like a fool. Lu Ming was shocked. How was it possible that he could kill the evil god tribe member in front of him with just a breath? This evil god race was a peerless expert. A heavenly emperor above the 4-star level, even a peak heavenly emperor, would not be able to kill him with just a breath. However, a peak heavenly emperor was already standing at the highest point in this world. According to Lu Ming's understanding, the celestial the arch was the limit of cultivation in this world. He was truly invincible at Arch Peak. Could there be a stronger existence than a peak heavenly emperor? Lu Ming thought that Dandan was bragging. He did not think too much about it. He controlled the 9 dragons with all his might and bombarded the void continuously. It was like kneading dough. If you don't knead a dough, there will be many cracks. The dough is not completely fused together. If you follow the cracks, you can separate the whole dough. However, after continuous kneading and slapping, the dough would melt into one, and the cracks would disappear. Now, this void, this passageway was like this. It was like a dough that had not been kneaded. There were still cracks, and the evil god tribe could open up the tunnel completely by following these cracks. Lu Ming's current bombardment was to knead the dough, to completely integrate these spaces into one, and the cracks would disappear. Of course, this required a shocking amount of power. Even ordinary heavenly emperors would find it difficult to do so. At that moment, Lu Ming's 9 drops of 9 dragons' blood essence flew out and manifested 9 dragons. Only then did he have such power to completely collapse the passageway and the crack disappeared. The evil god tribe's patriarch naturally knew what Lu Ming and the others were planning. However, one of them was blocked by the huge true dragon and it was difficult to get rid of the other. You guys, don't even think about it. The evil god race's old ancestor who was fighting against evil swordsmen roared in anger. The light on his body brightened, and at this moment, he no longer cared about his injuries. He risked worsening his injuries and erupted with all his power. Boom! Evil swordsman was sent flying by his one move. However, evil swordsman didn't retreat. He once again charged at his opponent. He needed to give Lu Ming enough time. However, evil swordsman's injuries were too severe. He had almost died in the ancient battle, and even now, his strength was far from fully recovered. When the evil god race's old ancestor unleashed his full power, he was no match for him at all and was sent flying again. Not good. Lu Ming was anxious as he tried his best to control the divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron. Not only did the 9 dragons attack the void, but the divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron itself also shone brightly and blasted toward the void. The space was constantly exploding, then healing, and then exploding. Hurry, hurry! Lu Ming was anxious because evil swordsman could not hold on any longer. If this went on, evil swordsman would definitely die. Once evil swordsman died, Mulan and Ji and Filiu in his small world would also die. Lu Ming had to seize the time. The 9 dragons let out a long roar, and their entire bodies burst out with dazzling light. Beams of light burst out from the bodies of the 9 dragons, which were extremely dazzling. Boom! In the end, the bodies of the 9 dragons exploded. This explosion formed a terrifying energy. The entire area and space were completely annihilated, turning into nothingness and chaos. No. 11 The evil god race's old ancestor bellowed. Ha, good. Evil swordsman laughed loudly. He no longer tried to stop them. Instead, his figure flashed and he rushed towards the 3 experts of Two World City. A force swept them up and they flew into the distance. Lu Ming, that's enough. Let's go. Evil swordsman's voice rang in Lu Ming's ears. Lu Ming controlled the divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron and flew toward evil swordsman at top speed. They met up and flew in one direction at top speed. The 2 evil god races' old masters joined forces and charged towards the true dragon. However, the true dragon was no match for them. Its huge body started to break apart. The entire body of the dragon exploded and turned into a drop of blood. In a flash, it disappeared from the place. A drop of blood. The 2 evil god races' old masters were shocked, and their gazes turned grave. Then they came to RHE original passage. The void was healing quickly. After it was healed, there was no space at all. It was exactly the same as the space in the other regions. The passageway had completely collapsed. Damn it, kill those ants! The purple-haired old ancestor of the evil god race roared in anger and chased after Lu Ming, evil swordsman, and the others. The other old ancestor of the evil god race and the other members of the evil god race all chased after evil swordsman and the others. Lu Ming controlled the divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron and flew at high speed with evil swordsman. However, at this moment Lu Ming felt weak. Buzz! The divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron shook and suddenly shrank rapidly. Lu Ming and Dandan flew out of the divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron automatically. Then, the divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron split into 9 parts and flew into the space between Lu Ming's eyebrows. At the same time, 9 drops of blood essence flew out of the 9 divine cauldrons and scattered into Lu Ming's body. Buzz! At this moment, there was a flash of red light in the distance. A drop of blood pierced through the void and flew into Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming was dumbfounded. He did not understand what was going on. However, at this moment he felt weak. Let's go! Evil swordsman waved a wave of energy, sweeping up Lu Ming and Dandan and flying forward. However, evil swordsman was already heavily injured, and he had been injured even more when he tried to stop an evil god race ancestor. Although he was fast, there was a limit to his speed. Behind him, 2 figures were chasing after him at an astonishing speed. It was 2 of the evil god race's old ancestors. We're finished, Dandan wailed. Right now, evil swordsman was heavily injured, and it was obvious that the divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron's energy had been exhausted. How was he going to deal with the 2 old ancestors of the evil god tribe? You turtle, you're really afraid of death. You're no different from back then. Evil Swordsman indifferently glanced at Dandan and said disdainfully, "What did you just say? Show me some respect, you're my junior, do you understand?" Dandan was displeased, and she glared at Evil Swordsman with wide eyes. "Oh, was it? Then one can only leave you here first. Perhaps you can delay the other party a little." Evil Swordsman said indifferently. Dandan immediately wilted. He squeezed out a smile and looked at Evil Swordsman with a gentle expression, saying, "Don't be like that. One was just joking with you. We're all old acquaintances. Calm down, calm down." At the side, Lu Ming was full of disdain. The three experts from Two World City were also disdainful. This change in attitude was faster than flipping a book. Chapter 22:18, Two World City. Chapter 22:18, Two World City. Evil Swordsman didn't say anything more, and led everyone to fly at high speed. However, the two evil god tribes' old ancestors were getting closer and closer, and the distance between the two sides was getting shorter and shorter. "You will die today." "No, I won't let you die. I will extract your souls and make you suffer." One of the evil god race's old ancestors spoke coldly. They were truly furious. After much difficulty, they finally found a passage to the primordial realm. As long as they took down this passage, they could send an army into the primordial realm. In that case, it would be much easier to attack the Taiching Heaven region. But now, it was all ruined. Even though the passageway was a Khanate passageway, it would still reveal itself and return to its original state with the passage of time. However, it would definitely take a long time. The most important thing was that the old ancestor-level figures, had personally made a move, but their plan had actually been ruined by a few juniors. It was really embarrassing. Their killing intent was naturally heavy. They kept closing the distance between them and Lu Ming. This made Dandan's face pale. On the other hand, Evil Swordsman was very calm. He enveloped Lu Ming and the others with his own energy and flew at top speed. Suddenly, the flying Evil Swordsman stopped. "Hey, why aren't you running anymore?" Dandan's face turned even paler. "Wait for them," Evil Swordsman said indifferently, and the others were confused. The two evil god race's old ancestors were also stunned, and doubt flashed through their eyes. They didn't understand why Evil Swordsman suddenly stopped. But they didn't stop and continued to chase. When they were about to approach Lu Ming and the rest, the sky suddenly shone with a dazzling radiance. Figures appeared in the sky. Among these figures, there were humans and divine beasts, such as huge and towering divine foxes, great ROCs with wings that could cover the sky, and Chilants covered in scales. There were more than a dozen figures. Kill! Kill all the outsiders! These figures were filled with killing intent. They looked at the two old masters of the evil god race and charged towards them. Lu Ming, Dandan, and the rest were dumbfounded. Obviously, these figures were the immortal imprints left by the peerless powerhouses who died in the ancient times in the Heaven Realm. He just didn't expect that there would be more than a dozen here. Evil Swordsman's eyes dimmed, as if reminiscing. He sighed. Back then, more than a dozen powerhouses died in battle. It was extremely tragic. These powerhouses were unwilling to die, so before they died, they left behind an immortal imprint. Everyone was stunned and then sighed. How many powerhouses were buried in the land under their feet? No wonder Evil Swordsman would run here. He knew that the imprints of more than a dozen experts were gathered here. If the two evil god tribe patriarchs were still in their full form, these powerful seals would have been completely useless to them. In fact, they wouldn't even have revealed themselves. However, the other party is now heavily injured. Previously, he had disregarded his injuries and unleashed his full strength, causing his injuries to worsen and his combat strength to be greatly reduced. These seals will be of great use to them, Evil Sword Guest said. That was indeed the case. At this moment, the two evil god race's old ancestors were being attacked by more than 10 marks of experts. For the time being, they were unable to charge out at all. Although these marks were not as powerful as when they were alive, they were still very powerful. With more than a dozen of them working together, they completely surrounded the two evil god race's old ancestors, making it impossible for them to break out. Let's go. Well, go to Two World City, Evil Swordsman said. He led Lu Ming and the others toward Two World City in a flash. Evil Swordsman's speed was astonishing, and he seemed to avoid the marks of the experts here, quickly leaving this ancient battlefield. As soon as they left the ancient battlefield, they arrived at an even more vast area. This area was also a battlefield. There were potholes everywhere, and bones could be seen everywhere. The two realms had been fighting on this battlefield for countless years. Countless living beings had fallen on this battlefield. After arriving here, Evil Swordsman's speed became even faster. In an instant, he had traveled 10,000 miles, and soon, a huge city appeared in front of him. Although Lu Ming had seen many majestic ancient cities, he still gasped when he saw this huge city. The city walls were made of all kinds of extremely hard metals, and there were countless runes flowing on them. The city wall was shockingly high, towering into the clouds. At a glance, it was at least 100,000 feet high. One could vaguely see soldiers walking on the city wall. The width of the city wall was even more shocking. With Lu Ming's eyesight, he could not see the end of both sides. The Two-World City was called the Two-World City because it separated the two worlds. The Two-World City completely separated the Tai-Ching Heavenly Region from the Hunyuan Heavenly Region and blocked the entrance to the Tai-Ching Heavenly Region. One could only imagine how wide it was. A light shield covered the outside of the city wall. It was a protective shield formed by the formation. The Two-World City was the reason why the Tai-Ching Heavenly Region had not been invaded by the foreign tribes for so many years. It seems like the outsiders have already retreated. One of the three powerful cultivators from Two-World City, an old man, spoke. His name was Song Tianlong. Previously, there had been countless alien races attacking Two-World City. Perhaps they had already received news of the ancient battlefield and retreated. They flew up to the same height as the city wall. The soldiers on the city wall could already see them. Song Tianlong, open the array and let us in. Song Tianlong said. It's Lord Song Tianlong. Open the array. A voice came from inside the city wall. Soon, the light shield outside the city wall squirmed and a door that could only allow one person to pass through appeared. Everyone walked in separately. It's so spectacular. After entering Two-World City, he stood high in the sky and looked into the distance. Inside the city walls of Two-World City was a vast military camp. There were all kinds of ancient buildings that soared into the sky, and countless people were flying around. It was too spectacular. Previously, everyone was injured, so I will arrange your accommodation. Follow me. Song Tianlong said. Everyone followed him and flew into the distance. Not long after, they arrived at a huge palace. Song Tianlong quickly arranged a place for them to stay. In a courtyard. Dandan, protect me first. Lu Ming said to Dandan. He then sat down cross-legged. Previously, when the divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron flew into his glabella, 9 drops of Nine Dragons' blood essence scattered all over his body. In addition, there was another drop of blood that also flew into his body. Lu Ming did not have the time to observe it. First, Lu Ming checked his body. Previously, when the 9 drops of Nine Dragon blood essence flew out, he felt a sense of emptiness and the strength of his physical body weakened greatly. But now, not only had his physical strength completely recovered, but he was also full of energy. Some of the injuries he had suffered before had also completely healed. At the same time, he could feel that his physical body was much stronger than before. Could it be that when the blood essence of the 9 dragons flew into the divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron, it brought out some power, so my body transformed again and became stronger? Lu Ming made a guess. Chapter 2219. Chapter 2219, Abnormal Bloodline. Chapter 2219. Chapter 2219 Abnormal Bloodline. Lu Ming felt that his physical body was much stronger than before. With a slight movement, his muscles trembled and a dragon's roar was heard. Lu Ming's blood seemed to have countless tiny 9 dragons jumping around. Lu Ming revealed a look of joy. This was a good thing. The stronger his physical body was, the stronger his battle prowess would be, and the more vigorous his life force would be. Then, Lu Ming's soul force sank into his sea of consciousness and observed the divine nine-dragon cauldron. The divine nine-dragon cauldron had been floating in his spiritual ocean ever since it had entered. The 9 cauldrons were dull and lightless. Even the patterns on them were deathly still, as if they had lost their spirituality. Lu Ming materialized in his sea of consciousness and observed carefully. He tried to activate the divine nine-dragon cauldron one last time, but there was no reaction at all. The divine nine-dragon cauldron seemed to have lost its spirituality. It seems that the divine nine-dragon cauldron has been greatly damaged in this battle. It has no energy left, can't be restored, and can't be controlled. Lu Ming speculated. At the same time, he felt that it was a pity. If he could control the divine nine-dragon cauldron, he would become a top powerhouse in the heaven realm. Unfortunately, no matter how hard Lu Ming tried, he could not revive the divine nine-dragon cauldron. There was no movement at all. Thinking about it, it made sense. During this period of time, the divine nine-dragon cauldron had gone through 2 battles in a row. When Lu Ming first came, the divine nine-dragon cauldron brought along the 9 dragon veins and fought against the 4 unparalleled powerhouses of the evil god tribe at their peak. In the end, the 4 patriarchs of the evil god tribe were severely injured. The divine nine-dragon cauldron definitely played a huge role. The divine nine-dragon cauldron itself was smashed into the ground and almost lost its spirituality. It was Lu Ming who activated it with the blood essence of the 9 dragons that allowed it to be revived. However, after a battle, the divine nine-dragon cauldron even manifested 9 dragons at the end. However, the 9 dragons self-destructed in the end. The damage to the divine nine-dragon cauldron was extremely serious. It was not difficult to understand why it had fallen to this state. Can you take it out? Lu Ming pondered. After many attempts, he could finally summon the divine nine-dragon cauldron from his sea of consciousness. However, he could not unleash its power. It was like a useless cauldron. Forget it. Lu Ming shook his head. He planned to study the divine nine-dragon cauldron when he had the chance in the future. Right, there was a drop of blood that flew into my body earlier. What kind of creature's blood was that? Where is it? Lu Ming thought of the mysterious drop of blood. Lu Ming was a little worried that a drop of mysterious blood had flown into his body. He carefully searched his body. However, there was no trace of that drop of blood on his body. No, something's wrong with my heart. In the end, Lu Ming found an abnormality in the position of his heart. His soul power sank into his heart, and as expected, he found a drop of blood. This drop of blood was crystal clear, and there was a small true dragon swimming in it. Could this be the blood of a true dragon? Could it be that true dragon? Lu Ming thought of the true dragon that had fought against the evil god tribe in the ancient battlefield. Lu Ming tried to guess if the true dragon was injured and a drop of blood flew into his body. Lu Ming's soul force approached the drop of blood and tried to control it. Suddenly, a dragon's roar burst out from the blood. The dragon's roar was filled with endless majesty and an ancient feeling. It was as if it was an existence from countless years ago that had pierced through time and carried a thick aura of time. The dragon's roar was endless. That drop of blood actually moved and turned into a true dragon. It roared towards the sky, and its pair of dragon eyes were like 2 suns. Lu Ming was shocked because he realized that the true dragon formed by this drop of blood was exactly the same as the true dragon that had fought against the evil god tribe. At this moment, the true dragon's gaze was not directed at Lu Ming's soul force, but in another direction. It was the direction of Lu Ming's spine, which was also the direction of the 3rd blood meridian. Kill! At this moment, the 3rd bloodline seemed to have resonated with something. A deafening roar came from the 3rd bloodline. This voice was filled with endless killing intent, and it almost shattered Lu Ming's soul. Kill! Kill! Roars filled with killing intent came one after another. The drop of blood from the 3rd bloodline seemed to have turned into a vast sea of blood. The blood waves rolled and the killing intent was endless. What's going on? At this moment, Lu Ming realized that things had exceeded his expectations. He could not control the 3rd bloodline at all, nor could he control that drop of true dragon blood. Kill! In the blood sea, the battle cries grew louder and louder. The endless amount of blood turned into a human face, but then it turned into a beast's face and kept changing. At this moment, the endless power in the sea of blood seemed to be about to rush out and annihilate Lu Ming's soul. Lu Ming was trapped in endless killing intent and turned into a killing puppet. No! Lu Ming roared. His soul glowed and he guarded his heart. However, the power of the blood sea was getting stronger and stronger, and its killing intent was overwhelming. At this moment, the true dragon formed by the drop of true dragon blood roared at the sky. It gave off an ancient dragon's might as if it was fighting against the third bloodline. What's going on? Why did he suddenly lose control of his bloodline? Could it be related to this drop of true dragon blood? However, how could the true dragon's blood cause the third bloodline to mutate? It seems like the true dragon's blood is the enemy of the third bloodline. Many thoughts flashed through Lu Ming's mind. He guarded his heart and did not allow the endless killing intent in the third bloodline to be destroyed. Otherwise, he would really be reduced to a killing puppet forever. However, the power from the third bloodline was too strong, completely surpassing his. At this moment, outside, Dandan was sizing up Lu Ming curiously. He could not hear anything that was happening inside Lu Ming's body, not even the shocking dragon's roar or the terrifying battle cry. It seemed that only Lu Ming could hear it. The only abnormality was that Lu Ming's body was trembling nonstop. His entire body was shrouded in a blood-red light and his expression was somewhat ferocious. What's wrong with this kid? Even a drop of ancestral dragon blood wouldn't be like this, right? Dandan mumbled to herself and paced around Lu Ming, wanting to help him but not knowing how to intervene. At this moment, Lu Ming's body had entered a critical stage. Lu Ming's soul force was enveloped by a layer of blood qi. Endless killing intent was constantly attacking Lu Ming's soul. Kill, kill, kill. Lu Ming's killing intent grew stronger and stronger. It was as if he would only stop after he had killed everyone in the world. Buzz. At this moment, there was another wave coming from Lu Ming's spine. The bloodline of the prison-suppressing steel emerged on its own and grew to 100,000 feet tall, emitting endless light. Of course, all of this was Lu Ming's own feeling. The people outside could not see it. The words on the prison-suppressing steel shone even brighter. Finally, 3 words emerged from the steel and pressed down on the third bloodline. Kill! The third bloodline's blood waves surged into the sky and attacked the 3 words. However, the prison-suppressing steel's huge body pressed down. It grew bigger and bigger, standing above the blood sea. A mysterious energy kept pouring into the blood sea. Chapter 2220. The Ancestor of the Dragon Clan, the Ancestral Dragon. Chapter 2220. The Ancestor of the Dragon Clan, the Ancestral Dragon. There were already 2 fragments of the prison-suppressing steel. They were shining with boundless light and suppressing power. They kept pressing down on the blood sea. In the blood sea, the giant face kept changing. It turned into the faces of all kinds of living beings. At the same time, they kept roaring as if they were very unwilling. The true dragon formed by the drop of blood roared and seemed to be suppressing the third bloodline together with the prison-suppressing steel bloodline. Gradually, the waves of blood in the third bloodline became smaller and the killing intent faded. Finally, it turned back into the form of a drop of blood and hid in Lu Ming's spine. Following that, the prison-suppressing steel bloodline's glow disappeared and it flew into Lu Ming's spine and disappeared. At this moment, Lu Ming's body stopped trembling. The blood qi in his body had disappeared. The true dragon formed by the drop of blood let out a loud roar before it transformed back into a drop of blood and rushed into Lu Ming's heart. Following that, the drop of blood turned into tiny blood threads that swam through Lu Ming's blood vessels and seeped into his muscles and bones. Kachacha! Lu Ming's muscles began to wriggle, and his bones shook. Thunder and the roar of a dragon could be heard. Lu Ming's physical body was being tempered and it was constantly improving. So good. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He could feel that his physical body was becoming stronger rapidly. He could clearly feel the speed at which he was becoming stronger. After an unknown period of time, Lu Ming felt that his physical body had doubled in strength and the drop of blood had become smaller. It was only a little, about 1% smaller. At this moment, the drop of blood no longer emitted blood threads. It calmed down and seemed to have fused with the heart. At this moment, Lu Ming opened his eyes. As soon as he opened his eyes, he felt sticky all over. It was the impurities discharged from the depths of his body. With a thought, a flame spread out from his body, burning away these impurities. The strength of my physical body has doubled. My combat strength has also increased by a large margin. A smile appeared on Lu Ming's face. Then he saw a fair and tender face enlarging in front of his eyes. The face scrutinized Lu Ming, left and right. "Dandan, what are you looking at?" Lu Ming pursed his lips. "Kid, you have a lot of secrets." Dandan's eyes darted around, becoming more and more curious. "Right, let me ask you something. What blood is this?" Lu Ming focused his mind on his heart. With a thought, the drop of blood appeared on his fingertip. A true dragon could be seen swimming inside. Dandan's eyes were wide open, staring at the drop of blood. Could this be the blood of the injured true dragon? Lu Ming said, "Fuck, let me tell you, that true dragon wasn't a true dragon, it was formed from this drop of blood." Dandan said, "What?" Lu Ming was shocked. The true dragon that had fought against the evil god tribe's old ancestor in the ancient battlefield was actually formed from this drop of blood. It was just a drop of blood, but it actually had such shocking power? Are you surprised? Let me tell you, this isn't essence blood, it's just a drop of blood. If I'm not wrong, this should be a drop of ordinary blood from the ancestral dragon. Dandan said, her eyes still staring at the drop of blood. Slowly, they became fiery and revealed a greedy look, as if she wanted to swallow the drop of blood in one gulp. Lu Ming quickly kept the drop of blood and kept it in his heart. Ancestral dragon? What's an ancestral dragon? Lu Ming was even more curious because he had never heard of this name. Ancestral dragon, that's a legend. It said that he's the oldest true dragon in the world, the ancestor of all dragons, the first true dragon in the Tianyuan world. Dandan said slowly, her eyes seemed to show a trace of respect. The ancestor of all dragons, the first true dragon. Lu Ming was also shocked. This was incredible. Could it be that the ancestral dragon is stronger than the 9 dragons? Lu Ming continued to ask. Nonsense, what are 9 dragons? The 9 dragons are just a mutation of the real dragon. They are more talented than ordinary real dragons, which is why they have such achievements. However, they are nothing compared to the ancestral dragon. Legend has it that the ancestral dragon is a truly invincible existence, above the heavenly Tao. In other words, even the heavenly Tao has to submit to him. How is this possible? The celestial the arch controls the heavenly Tao, which is the pinnacle of martial Tao. He's on equal footing with the heavenly Tao, so how can there be any living being that can transcend the heavenly Tao? Lu Ming widened his eyes in disbelief. In his knowledge, the celestial emperor was the limit. He was on the same level as the heavenly Tao, had no heavenly tribulation, was immortal, and lived as long as the heaven and earth. However, there was actually a living being that could transcend above the heavenly Tao. This really broke his understanding. Finally, Lu Ming looked at Dandan and asked suspiciously, "Are you bragging again? Who's tricking you?" "Let me tell you, I was lucky enough to see the ancestral dragon once, so I'm very familiar with his aura. I'll never forget it for the rest of my life. The drop of blood you got was a drop of the ancestral dragon's blood. I guess it was left by the ancestral dragon to suppress that passageway." Dandan said, "No way. Does that mean the ancestral dragon has an enemy?" Lu Ming's heart trembled. The ancestral dragon left a drop of blood to suppress the passage. Obviously, the ancestral dragon was from the heaven realm. However, he only left a drop of blood and his real body was not there. This meant that the ancestral dragon had an enemy. If it was really as Dandan said, that the ancestral dragon was that powerful, then the situation was really serious. Could it be that there were such terrifying existences on the side of the alien race? Dandan also frowned, and her face was rare to see. She said, Obviously, there are also existences at that level in the alien tribes. Otherwise, the heaven realm wouldn't have fallen to this point. Once the ancestral dragon appears, even the celestial emperor can't defeat him. Unfortunately, I've never seen an existence at that level. Lu Ming sighed. The war between the two worlds was more tragic than he had imagined. With his cultivation, he could not interfere at all. The difference was too great. Ancestral dragon blood? He asked, why would the blood of the ancestral dragon appear on me? Is it related to the blood essence of the 9 dragons? It's most likely the case. Kid, you are really blessed. Even 1 AM envious of you. Although this drop of blood is only an ordinary drop of blood of the ancestor dragon and it has been consumed in the previous battle, it is still extraordinary. If you can refine it, the benefits will be amazing. I am so jealous of you. What virtue do you have? At the end of her sentence, Dandan's eyes turned red. She was really jealous. He paced around Lu Ming, wishing he could bite Lu Ming. Lu Ming felt his scalp turning numb. He chided, what are you looking at? Get lost. By the way, how many days have we been back? It's already been 10 days. Dandan licked her lips. 10 days? That's fast. Lu Ming muttered. He felt that only a short while had passed. He did not expect that it would be 10 days. I wonder how Senior Evil Swordsman is doing? Lu Ming thought of Evil Swordsman, Jian Filiu, Mulan, and a few others. He walked out of the courtyard and headed to another one. Chapter 2221. Chapter 2221. To the G11 family. Chapter 2221. Chapter 2221. To the G11 family, the courtyard where Evil Swordsman was staying was near Lu Ming and the rest. Senior Sister Mulan. When Lu Ming walked into Evil Swordsman's courtyard, he happened to see Mulan alone in Rhe courtyard, cultivating a set of sword technique. Mulan stopped her cultivation when she saw Lu Ming. She glided over with a bright smile on her face. Lu Ming, have you recovered from your injuries? One went to see you 2 days ago and saw that you were still cultivating. I'm completely fine. It's been many years since we last met. Senior sister, you've become even more beautiful. Lu Ming smiled and teased her. Is that so? Mulan's smile grew wider. She then pretended to sigh and said, it's a pity that some people don't know how to appreciate it. How could this be? Who doesn't know how to appreciate it? They're simply blind. Lu Ming continued to smile, which made Mulan's smile even brighter. Right, where's Senior Evil Swordsman? How's his injury? Lu Ming asked. You've come at a bad time. Senior Evil Swordsman left yesterday and returned to the ancient battlefield with Jian Filiu. Mulan said. He left. Lu Ming was slightly stunned. Senior Evil Swordsman said that he'd better live in that ancient battlefield, where he's more free. Mulan said. Lu Ming nodded. Perhaps Evil Swordsman had many comrades in that ancient battlefield. In the war that year, countless people had died and countless friends had been buried there. How could he not feel pain? Senior Evil Swordsman also said that although that passage has completely collapsed, it's estimated that it'll reappear in 100 years. Mulan said again, frowning. On the other side of the passage was Yuan Continent, where her family and friends were. 100 years. The Outlanders won't be able to get through in 100 years. Lu Ming's eyes opened and closed, revealing a strong sense of confidence. Oh, Senior Sister Apprentice, 111 leave here soon, come with us. Lu Ming said. All right. Mulan nodded. Now that she had obtained the inheritance of a peerless master, her cultivation was already at the limit of emperor-to-be, it was only a matter of time before she became an emperor. Once one became a monarch, as long as they survived the heavenly monarch tribulation, they would have a long lifespan. So now, she would no longer run away. She wanted to grasp her own happiness. The two of them went back to the courtyard where Lu Ming used to be and found Dandan. Not long after, they found Song Tianlong and bade him farewell. They then flew toward the east of Two World City. In ancient times, Dandan knew a person who had not even become a sovereign but had already mastered many laws. That person had been researching for his entire life. In his later years, he made a major breakthrough and might be able to help Lu Ming find a way to become a saint emperor. Now, they were going to that person's family to find that method. That family was located in the southern part of the Tai Ching heavenly region. The Tai Ching heavenly region could be said to be the largest heavenly region among the 9 heavenly regions in Rhe heaven realm. It was as vast as the Yuan continent. The two-world city was located in the westernmost part of Rhe Tai Ching heavenly region. Not long after, they flew out of the two-world city. What came into view were vast mountains. The peaks rose into the clouds one after another, as if there was no end to them. The heaven realm's original chi is indeed richer than Rhe primordial realms, and the nomological laws are also clearer. Perhaps only the strongest land in Rhe primordial realm's 10 lands, the land of divine destiny, can compare. Lu Ming had many thoughts in his mind. Then, the 3 of them took to the air and flew away. He was very familiar with the heaven realm. They flew over mountains and there was a public teleportation area. They were going to rake the teleportation array to the south of the Tai Ching heavenly region. Half a month later, they had arrived at the southern part of the Tai Ching heavenly region and were flying in an isolated area. At a glance, this place was a boundless sea of bamboo. Whether it was a high mountain or a plain, it was covered with bamboo. There were all kinds of bamboo. Dandan, we've been searching for so many days? Did you take Rhe wrong way? Lu Ming asked. How is that possible? The Gu family is in this area, living in seclusion in a purple bamboo forest. They won't move if there's no major problem. Dandan said. The 3 of them looked around, searching for Rhe purple bamboo forest. Another half a day passed. I found it. Dandan shouted and flew forward. Lu Ming and Mulan followed him. Soon, a sea of bamboo appeared in front of them. It was all purple bamboo. At first glance, it was a purple ocean. It was a purple bamboo, and even IRS leaves were purple. The bamboo pole was sparkling and translucent, as if it was carved out of beautiful purple jade. In the depths of the bamboo forest, they saw a palace. It was extremely elegant and was embellished in the boundless purple ocean. So many years have passed and they are still here. Let's go. Dandan smiled and flew towards the palace. But before they could fly far, a few figures rushed out from the bamboo forest below and blocked them. There were a total of 3 people, 1 middle-aged man and 2 young men. They all had one thing in common. They all wore jade crowns and white robes, looking very refined. How many of you? This is my home. May I know why you have come to my home? The middle-aged man cupped his fists and said politely, We came to my home to find someone, of course. Dandan said casually, Looking for someone? I wonder who you are looking for? The middle-aged man asked. Lone Star Sky, are Gu Xingyue and the others around? They'll come and find them, Dandan said. His words made the 3 Gu family members' expressions change drastically, becoming somewhat unsightly. Little brother, the 2 you mentioned are my Gu family's ancestors. Moreover, it's too disrespectful for you to call them by their names. The middle-aged man's eyes flashed with anger, but he suppressed it and said unhappily, What disrespect? They are just my juniors. If one don't call them by their names, what should I call them? Dandan pouted. How dare you? I think you're here to find trouble. Do you really think that my family is easy to bully? A young man shouted angrily. At the same time, a long sword appeared in his hand, and sword chi soared into the sky. The middle-aged man's expression was also very ugly. How old did she look? He actually said that the 2 ancestors of the Gu family were his juniors. It was obvious that he was here to find trouble and insult the Gu family. Nest 111 tell you the truth. These people actually want to fight, Dandan cried out. Lu Ming was speechless. How could you say that? It would be strange if others weren't angry at you for saying this. At this time, in the depths of Rhe Sea of Bamboo, there were figures flying out. It was obvious that the commotion here had alarmed the Gu family. There were dozens of people in total, some old and some young, but they all had one thing in common. They all wore snow-white long robes. No matter if they were men or women, they all looked very elegant. What's going on? An old man with a flowing white beard asked. Before the Gu family's people could answer, Dandan shouted first, "They're called the Lone Star Sky. Gu Xingyue, come out and see me. My old friends are here to see them." "How audacious! How dare you insult my Gu family's ancestor?" Instantly, the Gu family members were all furious and roared angrily. "What? Ancestor? Could it be that Gu Xingyue and Gu Xingkong are both dead? No way!" Dandan shouted. Chapter 2222, Fighting Against the Geniuses of the Gu Clan. Chapter 2222, Fighting Against the Geniuses of the Gu Clan. Lu Ming was speechless. Why did this guy say anything? As expected, the Gu family members were furious. Even the elders were furious, and a terrifying aura emanated from their bodies. "Nest, Great Emperor, this time it's all because of this guy, Dandan." Lu Ming could sense that two of them were exuding the aura of a great emperor. "Hey, what are you guys doing? The Gu family is known as a gentleman's family, and all of you claim to be gentlemen. So you also want to bully the weak and win with numbers?" Dandan shouted. Hearing this, the eyes of the elders and middle-aged men of the Gu family flashed. They all concealed their auras, but the anger in their eyes could not be extinguished. "You have to be taught a lesson for insulting the ancestors of my Gu family. Otherwise, you really think that my Gu family is easy to bully. My Gu family will not bully the weak with our strength and win with numbers. Today, let me meet you." A cold voice was heard, and then a young man stepped out. This young man was wearing a jade crown and a long robe. He had sword-like eyebrows and starry eyes. He was very handsome. Seeing this young man walk out, the Gu family didn't stop him. Instead, they looked confident, as if they had faith in this young man. "Your cultivation level is too low. I'm not interested. Lu Ming, I'll leave it to you." Dandan waved her hand, showing no interest at all, which made the young man in white even angrier. "Im Guingzhong, who can give me some pointers?" The white-robed young man held back his anger and cupped his fists. "This Gu family, each and every one of them is really gentlemanly." Lu Ming thought that he had heard Dandan mention this lonely family on the way here. In Dandan's words, the Gus were a group of wooden blocks with rigid brains, not knowing how to be flexible, and self-proclaimed gentlemen. Now that he saw it, it was indeed so. However, Dandan had a good relationship with a few people from the Lone family. "Im Lu Ming, please." Lu Ming stepped forward and cupped his fists. "Be careful," Gu Yingchong said. Then the sound of a sword rang out. A long sword appeared in Gu Yingchong's hand. An extremely bright sword light slashed towards Lu Ming. 3-star illusionary emperor. Lu Ming could tell Gu Yingchong's cultivation level the moment he attacked. Boom. Lu Ming made his move. He was very direct as he struck out with his palm. This palm did not use any laws. It was just the explosion of physical body and saint power. Boom. Lu Ming's palm landed on the other party's sword gleam. The sword gleam trembled and howled. In the end, the sword gleam collapsed and Lu Ming was forced to retreat dozens of meters. What powerful physical strength! Are you an immemorial body cultivator? No, your power is saint energy. You haven't become a saint emperor yet. At first, Guing thought that Lu Ming was an immemorial body cultivator. But then he realized that Lu Ming was using saint energy. Once one became a saint emperor, the saint energy would be transformed into world energy. However, Lu Ming was still using saint energy, which meant that he had not become a saint emperor. This shocked Gu Yingchong. The other members of the Gu family were also shocked. To be able to receive a heavy blow from Gu Ying even before becoming an emperor, this strength was shocking enough. One had to know that Gu Yingzhong was the #1 genius of the Gu family. He was a character that only appeared once every 100,000 years. Use your full strength. Like this, you can't win against me, Lu Ming said. He knew that Gu Yingchong had not used his full strength. The attack just now was just a test. You haven't become a saint emperor yet. Although your battle strength is amazing, you're no match for me. Gu Ying spoke again, full of confidence. You didn't go all out in the battle, how do you know? Lu Ming was also very confident. Since that's the case, let's fight. Gu Yingzhong's fighting spirit was revealed. His long sword trembled, and the sound of the sword was endless. The power of laws burst out, making Gu Yingzhong's sword chi even more astonishing. Two types of laws. One is an ultimate law, and the other is a type of king path law. Lu Ming's heart stirred. The lone shadow moved again. He became one with his sword and turned into a sword light, charging toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming clenched his fist in the air and the sword of death condensed. At the same time, long rivers of laws appeared on his body. This time, the Gu family members were really shocked. Heavens, what did one just see? 4 types of laws. He has control over 4 types of laws. He hasn't even become a saint emperor yet. How can he control 4 types of nomological laws? It's said that my Gu family has an ancestor who was extremely talented. Before he became a sovereign, he had also mastered many laws. The Gu family's crowd burst into heated discussions. Gu Yingzhong's eyes also flickered, but his sword light did not stop and continued to attack Lu Ming. Buzz! Lu Ming waved the sword of death and met the attack. Boom! The two of them collided, and a shocking collision erupted. Sword chi raged, and many of the Gu family's people retreated. After the two of them collided, their bodies trembled and they retreated tens of meters. The difference was that Lu Ming retreated a shorter distance. He's at the second realm of the strongest laws. He's not weaker than Lan Yun, Yan Shi, and the others. Lu Ming's heart stirred. Gu Yingchong's 2 types of laws, the strongest of which had already entered the second realm, and his cultivation was at the 3-star illusionary emperor level. Without a doubt, he was a top-notch heaven's favorite. If it was before, Lu Ming's sword of death only contained 4 types of laws and would not be a match for such a prodigy. However, due to the condensation of the ancestral dragon blood, Lu Ming's physical body was twice as strong as before. This also made his combat strength stronger. Therefore, Lu Ming had the upper hand by casting 4 types of laws. Again! The battle intent in Gu Yingzhong's eyes grew stronger, and his aura also grew stronger. 3 types of laws. Lu Ming's eyes flickered slightly. A third law appeared on the lone shadow. This was a king path law, and it seemed to have reached the second realm. This was a heaven's favorite who was stronger than Lan Yun, Yan Shi, and the others. The sword light tore through the air and headed for Lu Ming. Lu Ming held the sword of death and charged at the other party. Clang, clang. The two of them kept clashing in the air. The sword chi was overflowing, and the sound of the sword was thousands of miles away. Fortunately, someone from the Gu family had acted and created a light screen to block the purple bamboo forest below. Otherwise, the purple bamboo forest within 10,000 miles would have been destroyed by the sword chi. The two of them were extremely fast, and in the blink of an eye, they had exchanged hundreds of moves. The more he fought, the faster Lu Ming's chi and blood circulated. A dragon's roar was heard from his body and a layer of dragon scales appeared on the surface of his skin. Lu Ming himself was also stunned. Back then, when his cultivation base was still weak, dragon scales had already appeared on the surface of his skin because of his 9-dragon bloodline. However, as his cultivation level increased, he could control the bloodline of the 9 dragons at will. Dragon scales no longer appeared on his body. But now, when he circulated his body to the extreme, a layer of dragon scales appeared on the surface of his body. Perhaps this is related to the ancestral dragon blood. Lu Ming thought of the ancestral dragon blood. Previously, he had refined a portion of the ancestral dragon's blood to allow his body to expand. Now that the battle was at its most intense, his blood chi was surging and boiling, causing the dragon scales to appear. Chapter 22-23. Chapter 22-23, Dandan reveals her true form. Chapter 22-23. Chapter 2223 Dandan reveals her true form. Lu Ming's courage mounted as the battle progressed. Even though the lone shadow used 3 types of laws, 2 of which were at the second realm, they were still blocked by Lu Ming and could not do anything to him. Buzz! Suddenly, Gu Yingzhong's sword buzzed, and the sword light became even more brilliant. This is the 4th law. This time, even Lu Ming was shocked. Gu Yingchong had actually mastered a 4th type of law, which was also a king path law. Fortunately, it was only at RHE First Realm, not the Second Realm. But this was no small matter. A 3-star illusionary emperor, and at such a young age at that. Yet, he had already mastered 4 types of laws. 1 ultimate law and 3 king path laws. Furthermore, the strongest law and one of the king path laws had reached the Second Realm. The other 2 king path laws were also at the completion of the First Realm. This kind of talent could be said to be shocking. For example, Lan Yun and Van Shi, who were known as the top geniuses of the Heaven Realm, were about the same age as Guingzhong, but they had only mastered 2 types of laws. I didn't expect the Gu family to produce another top-notch Heaven's favorite, Dandan whispered, her eyes also revealing a look of admiration. Many of the Gu family's people also revealed proud expressions. Boom. Using the 4th type of nomological law, although it was only at the completion of the First Realm, it still increased Gu Yingchong's strength. This time, Lu Ming was sent flying. Lu Ming, I have to admit that your abilities are indeed shocking. It's the first time I've seen you in my life. On account that it wasn't easy for you to cultivate, I'll forget about today's matter. You can leave. Guing said. Many thanks. Lu Ming cupped his fists. Guingzhong could indeed be considered a gentleman. Not everyone had such magnanimity. However, Lu Ming's purpose for coming here today had not been achieved. How could he leave just like that? But our battle is not over yet. Lu Ming smiled again. You still haven't used your full strength? Guingzhong's eyes narrowed as he spoke. Of course. Lu Ming smiled. The color of the death sword in his hand became even more dazzling. There were now 2 more colors. It was the laws of alchemy and weapons. 6 types of laws. Guingzhong exclaimed in shock, his eyes revealing a look of disbelief. The other members of the Gu family were also shocked. He had yet to become a Saint Emperor, but he could actually control 6 types of laws. This was simply unbelievable. Could it be that the legend was true? That one of their ancestors had also mastered many laws before he became a sovereign? At first, some people were skeptical about the legend of their ancestor, who had yet to become a sovereign, but had already mastered multiple nomological laws. This was because such a thing was simply too unbelievable. Moreover, such a long time had passed, so who knew if this legend was true or false? However, after seeing Lu Ming today, they knew that the legend was true. However, their shock was not over yet. A hammer appeared in Lu Ming's left hand. The Chaos Hammer. It was formed by the laws of chaos and the other 6 laws. This time, the Gu family members were completely stunned. Even Gu Yingchong was the same. They only reacted after a long time. My God, an ultimate maxim, 2 ultimate maxims. A person who hasn't even become a sovereign not only controls many laws but also 2 ultimate laws at the same time. How did he do it? Unbelievable, unbelievable. Regardless of whether they were the older or younger members of the Gu family, they were all shocked beyond words. Controlling 2 ultimate maxims had completely broken their understanding of maxims. Naturally, they were shocked. Buzz, buzz, buzz. At this moment, a group of people flew out from the depths of the purple bamboo forest. There were at least 100 of them, and a few of them were emitting shocking cultivation. They were all great emperors. Lu Ming sighed to himself. The Heaven Realm was indeed worthy of its name. It had been passed down for countless years, and its experts were indeed amazing. It was just a lone family there were already 4 to 5 great emperors. It was hard to imagine. For example, there weren't many great emperors in the entire region of Mount Yuan. In fact, it wasn't that the primordial realm's strength was that far from RHE Heaven Realm's. There was a difference, but it was not so ridiculous. The main thing was that many strong practitioners of RHE Primordial Realm had left the Primordial Realm and come to the Heaven Realm to participate in the war and cultivate. Some of the overlord forces in the Divine Fared Land were also very powerful, and there were many experts who stayed there. Greetings, Patriarch. The members of the Gu family all bowed to a middle-aged man. This person was the Gu family's master. All right, let's end this battle here. The master of the Gu family spoke. Yes. Gu Ying nodded, retracted his aura, and rook a few steps back. The Gu family's master looked at Lu Ming in amazement. I didn't expect that there would be such a person in the world. He hasn't even become a sovereign, but he has mastered so many laws, even 2 ultimate laws. War a miracle. Master Gu is too kind, but it's a pity that it's difficult to become an emperor. Lu Ming sighed. Indeed, my Gu family's ancestor also had an extremely talented figure. He controlled many nomological laws before he became a sovereign. It's a pity that he didn't become a sovereign in the end. You all came here because you heard the legend of my Gu family's ancestor, right? The Gu family's master said. Yes, that's true. Lu Ming nodded. Since you have a favor to ask of me, why did you insult my ancestors? An old man from the Gu family walked out, his face still somewhat indignant. The Gu family's master also looked at Dandan. What insult? What do you juniors know? I already know Gu Xingyue, Gu Xingtian, and that Gu Lingtian who has mastered many types of nomological laws even before he became a great emperor is my good friend. Dandan said loudly. You still dare to? The people of the Gu family were furious. The master of the Gu family raised his hand, and the people of the Gu family quieted down. May I ask who you are? The master of the Gu family asked. Then you guys should see clearly. Dandan curled his lips, and his body suddenly changed into his original body. Then, his body rapidly grew in size, turning into an incomparably huge tortoise that floated in the sky. This is the legendary top 10 battle beast, the world turtle. Someone exclaimed in shock. All the members of the Gu family widened their eyes. The top 10 war beasts had already become legends and were no longer seen. In the battle of the ancient past, the top 10 war beasts had either died or were injured. They had long disappeared. Many people speculated that the top 10 war beasts might have all died in battle. He didn't expect that one of the top 10 war beasts, the world turtle, would actually appear here. Is it the legendary senior turtle? The master of the Gu family was the first to react. Of course, you're my old man. The giant turtle opened its mouth and quickly shrank, turning back into the appearance of a little Taoist priest. Senior turtle, what's with your cultivation? The master of the Gu family asked with a respectful attitude. That was because there were indeed records in the Gu family's ancient books that a few of the Gu family's ancestors had a close relationship with the divine turtle of the world. Chapter 22-24. I can become a divine emperor. Chapter 22-24. I can become a divine emperor. Sigh. It's all because of that battle back then that I almost died. If it weren't for my unparalleled divine skills, you wouldn't have been able to see me. Dandan started sighing, but she quickly regained her spirits and said, Who's the oldest in the Gu family now? The oldest member of the Gu family is Ancestor Ling Tian's son, Ancestor Gu Xinghue. Gu Xinghue, so it's that little brat. Ask him to come and see me. Dandan said in a carefree manner, with the appearance of a senior expert. The other members of the Gu family felt their eyelids twitching, and their expressions turned ugly. Gu Xinghue was the old ancestor of the Gu family. He had lived since the ancient times and had lived for a long time. Now, he was called a little brat. What were they then? However, when he remembered that the other party was the world turtle from back then, he felt at ease. Back then, the top 10 war beasts were all peak experts. The number of years they had lived was also shocking. Senior turtle, please wait a moment. I'll go report this to the ancestor. The master of the Gu family cupped his fists and walked towards the palace in the depths of the Gu family. Lu Ming and the rest did not have to wait long before they saw the master of the Gu family and an old man with white hair flying over. The old man had a ruddy complexion and white hair. He was in high spirits and his eyes were extremely bright. The master of the Gu family followed behind the old man with a respectful expression. We pay our respects to the ancestor. The Gu family members bowed to the old man at the same time. Needless to say, this person was the oldest ancestor of the Gu family, Gu Xinghue. No need to be so polite. Gu Xinghue waved his hand and looked at Dandan. He spread out his spiritual sense to sense Dandan's aura, and a hint of joy appeared on his face. Senior turtle, it's you, ha, that's me. You little brat, I haven't seen you for so many years and you've become so old. Ha, I'm still the younger one. Dandan laughed. Senior Turtle, I just heard that there's a young brother who has yet to become a sovereign, but he has already mastered many nomological laws, even 2 ultimate maxims. Are you here for the method left behind by father? Gu Xinghui asked directly. That's right. I heard that Gu Lingtian has been researching for his entire life, and when he was about to die, he gained a lot. So, one want to see what he has found. Dandan said. Gu Xinghui looked at Lu Ming in surprise. He had lived for a long time. When he heard that someone could control so many laws, even 2 ultimate laws, before becoming a sovereign, even he couldn't help but be shocked and curious. Little brother, can you show me your nomological laws? Gu Xinghui said. All right. Lu Ming nodded. With a thought, 7 types of laws appeared one after another. Gu Xinghui's eyes were extremely bright as he sighed repeatedly, Miracle, what a miracle! After a while, he said, My father did have a great breakthrough back then. He said that he finally found the way to become a Saint Emperor. Unfortunately, he couldn't reach it himself. He could only leave it to the fated. Lu Ming's eyes lit up and his heart could not help but beat faster. Gu Xinghui's words obviously meant that Gu Lingtian had really found a way back then. Ha, the Gu Lingtian is indeed a rare hero. I didn't expect him to find a way. It's a pity for him. If he wasn't so ambitious, his achievements wouldn't be any less than mine. Dandan sighed. It was rare to see such an exaggerated person. Gu Xinghui's eyes were also a little dim. Senior Turtle, please follow me, said Gu Xinghui. Then, he made a gesture of invitation and walked towards the depths of the Gu family. Lu Ming, Dandan, and Mulan followed. The other members of the Gu family also left. Lu Ming and the other 2 followed Gu Xinghui and flew across a large area of halls, arriving at a peaceful place. It was very quiet here, and there was only a small house made of purple bamboo. It was quiet and elegant. There was a small courtyard outside the small house. There was a stone table with a few stone stools beside it. Senior Turtle, please take a seat. I'll be right back, Gu Xinghui said and then walked into the bamboo house. After a while, he took out a bronze box and walked out. This is what my father left behind, Gu Xinghui said. Then he opened the bronze box, and a jade box appeared. My father put all his research in this jade box. However, no one has been able to open it since my father passed away. There is a formation on it. If you open it by force, the jade box and the things inside it will be destroyed, Gu Xinghui said. It can't be opened? It can't be. Dandan was speechless. Lu Ming's heart sank. That's right. However, I'm guessing that father wants to leave it for someone fated, such as young brother Lu Ming, who has yet to become a great emperor but has already mastered many types of laws. Young brother Lu Ming, you can take a look at it. Perhaps you can open it. Gu Xinghui passed the jade box to Lu Ming. Lu Ming took it and studied it carefully. The surface of the jade box was covered with dense runes. Lu Ming looked at it for a long time but could not find anything. Let me see, Dandan shouted. Lu Ming passed the jade box to Dandan and she studied it carefully. He was an expert in formations, and as expected, he had made a huge discovery. His eyes lit up and he said, No wonder no one can open it. It turns out that it requires such conditions. Ha, Dandan, you can tell? Lu Ming asked. Of course, don't you know who I am? The head of the top 10 battle beasts, the world god turtle. I can't see it without a formation. If you want to open this jade box, you need 2 conditions. First, I need to use Saint energy. Second, 5 types of nomological laws need to be used at the same time, but there are no rules on which 5 types of nomological laws to use. These 2 conditions are very simple individually, but when put together, it's very harsh, because the 2 conditions need to be completed by the same person. Dandan explained. The few of them were stunned for a moment before they immediately reacted. This condition was very obvious. It required a person who had yet to become a divine emperor but could master 5 types of laws at the same time. This was what Gu Lingtian had left for people like him. Lu Ming, take it and try it. Dandan handed the jade box to Lu Ming. Lu Ming took it and circulated his holy power according to Danden's instructions. He controlled the 5 types of laws at the same time and shrouded the jade box. Buzz. As expected, the jade box started to move. It began to glow and the runes on it flowed. Finally, with a kacha sound, the jade box opened. There was a jade token in the jade box. It's open! Gu Xinghui was also very excited. Lu Ming, Danden, and Mulan were also very excited. Lu Ming, hurry up and take a look. Is there a way for you to successfully vindicate your Tao and become an emperor? Danden said excitedly. Lu Ming took a deep breath, took out the jade card, and sank his spiritual sense into it. My life is Gu Lington. Immediately, a voice rang in Lu Ming's mind. After a long while, Lu Ming put down the jade token and looked surprised. There's really a way. I can become an emperor. Chapter 22-25. Another Path, Understanding Ancient Tree. Chapter 22-25. Another Path Understanding Ancient Tree. Lu Ming found out about Gu Lingshan's life from the jade token. Gu Lingtian was a peerless talent and a peerless heaven's favorite. He was the most dazzling star in the heaven realm during that era. However, Gu Lingshan's heart was higher than the sky. He wanted to walk a different path, a path that no one had ever walked before, or a path that no one had ever walked. Before he had become a monarch, he had actually relied on his terrifying talent to cultivate several types of laws. He wanted to use the many types of laws to create a small world when he became a monarch. Unfortunately, he did not walk this path in the end. He was blocked, and this block would last a lifetime. Gu Lingtian had spent his entire life researching, and he had finally found a way in his later years. To be able to control so many laws before becoming a monarch, one had to pay attention to balance. This was because it was too difficult to condense the world core with many types of laws when one became a great emperor. The laws would collide with each other and burst out with terrifying forces that would tear the saint heart and the body. That was why it was difficult to become an emperor. However, as long as the many laws reached a balance, there would be no tearing force, and one could successfully evolve the saint heart and become an emperor. However, it was very difficult to achieve a balance among the many laws. On this issue, he wasn't the son of God and had an advantage. Since he was the son of God and had mastered one ultimate law, it would be difficult to achieve a balance if he mastered other laws. According to Gu Lingshan's speculations, a king body that could control 3, 6, or 9 king path laws would be able to reach a balance and become a monarch. However, in history, those who had the ability and talent to control multiple laws before becoming a saint emperor were all children of God who controlled the strongest laws. No matter how he matched it, it would be difficult to achieve a balance between the many laws. This was because an ultimate maxim was too powerful, and it was difficult for other maxims to maintain a balance with an ultimate maxim. Gu Lingtian speculated that if a person could control 3 supreme laws and 6 king path laws, they would be able to maintain a balance and successfully develop the world core. Or, a person who could control 6 or 9 ultimate maxims could also develop the world core. 3 types of ultimate laws and 6 types of king path laws. I can definitely do it. Lu Ming's eyes were exceptionally bright and his heart was overwhelmed with ecstasy. He had already mastered 2 ultimate laws and 5 king path laws. He could completely comprehend another ultimate law and king path law. Gu Lingtian had also mentioned that these laws had to be at the same level to maintain balance. For example, if one of the laws had reached the second realm and the rest were at the first realm, that would not work. Lu Ming was secretly glad that he had not reached the second realm of his laws. As long as he cultivated all these laws to the first realm perfection, he would be able to vindicate his Tao and become a monarch. Lu Ming's words made Danden and Mulan overjoyed. Lu Ming, quick, let me take a look. Danden shouted. Lu Ming passed the jade card to Danden and she immediately looked at it. After reading it, Danden fell silent and passed the jade token to Gu Xinghui. After that, Mulan also took it and looked at it. It's a pity. Gu Lingtian is indeed a genius. He mastered an ultimate law and 8 king path laws, but he couldn't reach a balance and become a monarch. Danden sighed. Gu Xinghui's eyes were filled with sadness. The method recorded by my father seems simple, but it's actually extremely difficult to achieve it. Before becoming a sovereign, it's impossible for ordinary people to master multiple nomological laws. Only the child of God has the talent to do so. However, it's impossible for one person to master more than 2 ultimate maxims at the same time. Therefore, almost no one can achieve such conditions. In my opinion, the method that father developed is completely tailor-made for brother Lu Ming. Gu Xinghui sighed. That's right. Dandan also sighed. Mulan was also happy for Lu Ming. Brother Lu Ming, I hope that you can vindicate your Tao and become a saint emperor. This way, you will have fulfilled my father's last wish. Gu Xinghui said. Definitely. Lu Ming was extremely determined. How about this? It'll take you to a place that will help you comprehend many laws. It will help you become a divine emperor earlier, Gu Xinghui said. After that, Gu Xinghui stepped into the air and left. Lu Ming, Dandan, and Mulan followed him. They headed towards the depths of the purple bamboo forest. Not long after, they arrived in front of a huge ancient tree. This ancient tree was hundreds of meters tall and was as thick as a dozen people hugging it. Gu Xinghui waved his hand, and a light door appeared on the ancient tree. So, there's a small world hidden here. Lu Ming's heart stirred. It was obvious that the door of light on the ancient tree was the entrance to the small world. Gu Xinghui entered the door of light. Lu Ming and the rest also entered one by one. As soon as he entered the door of light, he arrived in another world. The laws here are so clear. One feel refreshed and my heart is empty. As soon as they entered the small world, Lu Ming and the rest felt that something was amiss. This was especially true for Lu Ming. He felt as if he was cultivating under the path understanding ancient tree. Follow me. Gu Xinghui smiled and left. After flying for a long distance, they came to a mountain range. However, this mountain range was barren. There was no vegetation at all, only a giant tree in the middle of the mountain range. That is, the path understanding ancient tree. Lu Ming was dumbfounded at the sight of the huge tree. Yes, there was indeed a path understanding ancient tree here. Although the species was different from the one that Lu Ming had, it was indeed the path understanding ancient tree. This path understanding ancient tree could not be compared to the one Lu Ming had. Lu Ming's one had already taken root on one of the mountain peaks in the mountain and river diagram. It was more than 30 meters tall. However, the one in front of him was at least 1,000 meters tall. The ancient tree towered into the sky, and its branches were surrounded by the great Tao. Everyone felt their hearts become empty, and their minds became incomparably clear. It was many times more effective than the one that Lu Ming had. Good, your Gu family actually secretly cultivated a path understanding ancient tree. Amazing! Dandan grinned and sighed, her eyes shining. It's a pity that it hasn't fully matured even after countless years of cultivation. Gu Xinghui sighed. It's already not bad that it could grow to 1,000 meters tall. I had one back then, but it was destroyed in the great battle before it matured. He cast a glance at Lu Ming. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. His path understanding ancient tree was cultivated from a withered branch. That withered branch appeared together with Dandan back then and they obtained it together. Could it be that it was Dandan's? This was very possible. You can cultivate here from now on. Gu Xinghui said. Good. Lu Ming, this is the most suitable place for you at your current stage. Dandan said to Lu Ming. Lu Ming nodded. Indeed. His main focus now was to comprehend the laws, so this place was indeed very suitable for him. Chapter 22-26, The 8th and 9th Laws. Chapter 22-26, The 8th and 9th Laws. The Gu family's path understanding ancient tree was already 1,000 meters tall. It was much more effective than his own path understanding ancient tree. It was the most suitable place to comprehend the laws. You guys can cultivate here. If you need anything, just send me a message. Gu Xinghui left them a voice transmission jade talisman and disappeared with a flash. The three of them headed toward the path understanding ancient tree. As they neared, they discovered that a few people were sitting cross-legged under the path understanding ancient tree, cultivating. It was obvious that they were from the Gu family. Lu Ming finally understood why Gu Yingchong could control 4 types of laws at such a young age. 2 of them had even reached the 2nd level. It definitely had a lot to do with the path understanding ancient tree. Someone in the Gu family sensed the arrival of the 3 of them. He opened his eyes and looked at the 3 of them in surprise. It was because he did not know Lu Ming and the other 2. However, he was only surprised and didn't say much. This was because this was the Gu family's secret place. Without the Gu family's higher-ups leading the way, no one would be able to find it. Obviously, Lu Ming, Dandan, and Mu Lan were able to come in because they were brought here by the Gu family's higher-ups. Since it was the Gu family's higher-ups who brought them here, he naturally would not say anything. Nodding at Lu Ming and the other 2, the person closed his eyes and continued cultivating. You too can cultivate here. I'm going to find a place to enter seclusion and break through to the true emperor realm. Dandan said, I hope you break through soon. Otherwise, when I become a saint emperor, 111 catch up to you very soon. Lu Ming said with a smile. In your dreams, you think you can catch up to me? Dandan pouted unhappily, then her figure flashed and she disappeared in an instant. Lu Ming and Mu Lan went to the path understanding ancient tree. They each found a blue stone and sat cross-legged on it. The Tao comprehension ancient tree was thousands of meters tall and extremely huge. Great Taos surrounded its branches and leaves. It was very useful for comprehending nomological laws or divine power techniques here. One have to comprehend 9 types of laws, 3 types of ultimate laws, and 6 types of king path laws. I'm still missing 1 type of ultimate law and 1 type of king path law. Which 2 should I comprehend? Lu Ming started to think. If it's a king path law, why don't one comprehend the penetration law? Lu Ming's heart stirred. The law of penetration had an amazing penetrative power. If he could comprehend it, his attack power would increase a lot. Furthermore, the 6-feathered divine wings that Dandan had passed on to Lu Ming contained 6 types of laws. Besides the array Tao law, the alchemy Tao law, and the equipment Tao law, the penetration law was also one of them. After comprehending the penetration law, one's body would be able to fly through all obstacles. The increase in speed was also very shocking, so it was included in the 6-feathered divine wings. The 6-feathered divine wings power would also increase exponentially after comprehending the penetration law. After setting the king path law, he had to decide which supreme law to comprehend. Of the remaining 8 ultimate maxims, Lu Ming had the highest hopes for the law of fate. This was because the laws of fate were indeed incomparably profound and powerful. However, the law of fate had an extremely high requirement for one's talent, and it was also the most difficult to cultivate. Lu Ming thought for a while and shook his head. He ruled out the law of fate. Now that I have the chaos and death laws, I'm not weak in terms of attack. The next law doesn't necessarily have to increase its attack power. It's also very important to increase its defense or vitality. Then, the life law. In the end, Lu Ming made the decision to study the life law. Lu Xiangxiang had a body of life, so Lu Ming was much more familiar with the life laws. Also, once one grasped the life law, their vitality would become extremely astonishing. Even if they suffered some fatal injuries, they would be able to quickly recover, greatly increasing their ability to survive. For the next 2 types of laws, Lu Ming decided to comprehend the life law and the penetration law. Closing his eyes, Lu Ming's mind became empty. His mind and spirit became one with the heaven and earth, capturing the fluctuations of the law. Penetrate everything, nothing can stop it, Lu Ming murmured. He was enlightened. As Lu Ming comprehended more and more laws, he had more and more experience in comprehending the laws. His comprehension became more and more efficient. In just a few days, he had already grasped the basics of the penetration law. Half a month later, Lu Ming successfully comprehended the life law. Now, he had already mastered 9 types of nomological laws. What he needed to do now was to increase the maturity of his nomological laws. The laws of pill Tao, the laws of equipment Tao, the laws of penetration, and the laws of life. Now, Lu Ming still had 4 types of laws that had not reached the completion of the first realm. However, he had already mastered about 90% of the alchemy and equipment Dao laws. Lu Ming focused on the 4 types of laws. In the blink of an eye, half a year had passed. On this day, there was thunder and lightning in the distance. Lu Ming, who was cultivating, and the people of the Gu family all opened their eyes. Someone became a monarch and underwent the monarch tribulation. Someone from the Gu family murmured, "Senior sister Mulan is about to become a divine emperor." Lu Ming revealed a smile. Mulan had received the inheritance of a peerless expert. The inheritance process had lasted for 5 years. In these 5 years, Mulan's cultivation had soared to the limit of emperor-to-be before it stopped. Mulan was just a step away from becoming a saint emperor. Now, after more than half a year of accumulation and polishing, Mulan had finally overcome the bottleneck and transcended the tribulation to become a divine emperor. Lu Ming took a step forward and stood not far away from Mulan. Mulan's entire body was covered in a layer of blood-red light, which turned into streams of attacks to resist the heavenly tribulation. It seemed that Mulan was still quite relaxed. Not long after, Mulan successfully transcended the heavenly tribulation. Boom! At this moment, a shocking change occurred within Mulan's body. It was the evolution of her saint heart. Her saint energy had turned into world energy, and a faint emperor's might emanated from her body. Half an hour later, Mulan's aura finally stabilized and she had officially entered the martial emperor realm. "Congratulations, senior sister, you've proven your Dao and become an emperor." Lu Ming stepped forward and congratulated him. Mulan looked at Lu Ming, her face filled with joy. "I'll believe in junior brother, you will become a saint emperor very soon." "Not bad, little girl. You've become a divine emperor so quickly. It seems that you're really suitable for the cultivation path of that fellow, Shuexiu." A voice was heard, followed by a flash of light and Danden's figure appeared. "Danden, you've also broken through?" Lu Ming sized up Danden and asked curiously. "Of course, what kind of existence am one? I'll soon break through to the great emperor realm, then the heavenly emperor realm, and finally surpass the past and break into the supreme realm, ha!" Danden laughed proudly, as if she had thought of a beautiful future, her eyes shining. This fellow, Lu Ming despised him but he was happy for him. Danden laughed for a while. "Lu Ming, come. Let's spar. Let's see how your comprehension of the laws has been going. You're a true emperor now. If I spar with you, wouldn't I just be abused?" Lu Ming pursed his lips and rejected immediately. Danden was the world turtle, one of the top 10 war beasts. Furthermore, his memories had completely recovered and he had mastered many types of nomological laws. Although he had just broken through to the true emperor realm, his combat strength was definitely very shocking. Chapter 22-27. Chapter 22-27, Danden's Guidance. Chapter 22-27. Chapter 2227 Danden's Guidance. Ahaha, I know you're afraid of me. But I'm not using world force. I'm just sparring with you using laws of nature. Why are you still afraid? Danden grinned and gave Lu Ming a sidelong glance. Lu Ming was unhappy, so be it. Let's go. Well, spar further away. After the few of them flew for a distance, they began to fight. Danden did not use her cultivation to suppress Lu Ming. She only used a little world energy to activate the law and fought with Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming was defeated by Danden in one move. This made Lu Ming speechless. Was there such a huge difference? Although Danden had also controlled 9 types of nomological laws, he had also controlled 9 types of nomological laws. However, after colliding with Danden's nomological laws, his nomological laws were completely vulnerable. Lu Ming, although you've mastered many laws, it's only the crudest fusion. You don't have an ancient scripture that can unleash the full power of these laws, so the power is too weak. Danden said, "It's a pity that there are no ancient scriptures." Lu Ming's face was also bitter. Although he had created the Hammer of Chaos and the Sword of Death, he had only created them not long ago and was far from completion. Their power was also limited. Those ancient sutras were created by others. Those who created them also created them according to the laws they controlled. Right now, you're just inexperienced, so you can't fully exert the divine power you created. If you can fully unleash the nomological laws you've mastered, its power will definitely be stronger than many ancient scriptures. After all, you created it yourself, Dandan explained. Dandan, you have so much experience, why don't you teach me? Lu Ming revealed a smile and looked at Dandan. Now you know how powerful I am. Don't worry, I'm here to spar with you because I want to give you some pointers. Come on, use your full strength. Dandan laughed out loud and was very proud. With one hand behind her back, she had the demeanor of a peerless expert. This time, Lu Ming did not expose him. After all, he had a request to make. Buzz. Then, Lu Ming's figure flashed. The hammer of chaos condensed in his palm and he struck at Dandan. At least 5 types of nomological laws burst out at the same time, forming a finger force that struck the hammer of chaos. The hammer of chaos shook violently and finally exploded. Lu Ming's hammer of chaos also contained 5 types of laws, but it was as easy as tofu. On the other hand, Dandan's 5 types of laws were like steel, crushing Lu Ming's hammer of chaos in an instant. Again! Lu Ming then rushed toward Dandan and resisted with the law. However, Lu Ming was completely defeated every time. A day later, Lu Ming was exhausted and he finally stopped. However, Lu Ming had gained a lot from this battle. He was more adept at the use of laws. When he used the hammer of chaos or the sword of death, the various laws complemented each other and the explosive power increased slightly. Dandan, although she bragged every day and was sometimes unreliable, her experience was really there. Moreover, the divine turtle of the world was also known as the world. It was born with unparalleled control over the laws and was stronger than the other top 10 beasts. Therefore, it could often point out the flaws in Lu Ming's use of the laws and allowed Lu Ming to improve rapidly. Go back and digest this. We'll continue the competition in 7 days. Dandan grinned and walked towards the path of enlightenment. They returned to the path understanding ancient tree and continued cultivating. Previously, Mulan had been watching Lu Ming and Dandan fight. She had learned a lot and needed to digest it. In the days that followed, Lu Ming had one more thing to do, which was to fight with Dandan. Every 7 days he would fight with Dandan once. His comprehension of various laws and the use of laws had improved by leaps and bounds. His mastery of the 4 laws, the law of alchemy, the law of craftsmanship, the law of penetration, and the law of life increased very quickly. After all, he was under the enlightenment ancient tree. Coupled with Lu Ming's own talent, it would be difficult for him not to improve. At the same time, Lu Ming's 2 self-created divine abilities, the hammer of chaos and the sword of death, were getting more and more powerful. It was not only the original nomological laws, but also the penetration law. One divine power contained 7 types of laws, and its power kept increasing. Finally, after cultivating here for a year, Lu Ming had reached perfection in another law. The laws of alchemy. The law of alchemy had reached perfection and the law had formed a river. Lu Ming's physical body and saint energy had been tempered again and had improved greatly. Without a doubt, Lu Ming's combat strength was also increasing rapidly. After cultivating here for a year and a half, Lu Ming's equipment Dao laws had also reached perfection. At this point, Lu Ming was still left with the penetration law and the life law. He had not reached the completion of the first level. The life law was an ultimate law, and its speed of improvement was much slower. On a flat land far away from the path understanding ancient tree, Lu Ming and Dandan continued to fight. Although Lu Ming's strength had increased rapidly, Dandan's improvement was even faster. Lu Ming felt that the 9 types of laws that Dandan controlled had most likely reached the second realm. Naturally, Lu Ming was completely outmatched. The 2 of them exchanged a blow and Lu Ming retreated. Unfortunately, my ultimate maxim can't be fused together. Lu Ming sighed. Whether it was the hammer of chaos or the sword of death, both only contained one ultimate law. If he could fuse other ultimate laws into them, his power would probably increase dramatically. However, if the ultimate laws did not merge, it would be too difficult to fuse them. Not necessarily. It's impossible, Dandan said. It said that one person can't control two ultimate maxims, but didn't you do it? Since you can control so many ultimate maxims, you can naturally merge them into one divine power. Speaking of which, Lu Ming, your path is completely different from others. If you cultivate the ancient scriptures created by others, you won't be able to unleash your full potential. Other people's ancient scriptures all use a single ultimate maxim as the core, but you've mastered multiple ultimate maxims. If you want to unleash your full potential, you'll have to create it yourself. It was rare for Dandan to be serious and give Lu Ming serious guidance. Lu Ming was greatly touched. That was indeed the case. None of the peerless talents who had created various ancient scriptures had mastered multiple ultimate laws. Most of them had mastered one ultimate law and then combined it with other king path laws and ordinary laws to create it. None of them were suitable for Lu Ming. If Lu Ming wanted to tap into all his potential, he had to create his own ancient scriptures and divine powers. Lu Ming suddenly felt enlightened. He felt that he could see his future path. Dandan, many thanks. Lu Ming thanked Dandan very seriously. Who am one? I'm the leader of the top 10 battle beasts, an invincible peerless genius. Do you believe me now? Dandan grinned and laughed, feeling extremely comfortable and happy. Come, continue. Let me guide you so that you can fuse the strongest laws as soon as possible. Dandan shouted, full of energy. Although Dandan had not mastered many ultimate maxims, her experience was very helpful to Lu Ming. However, it was too difficult to merge different ultimate maxims into one sacred art. Lu Ming had tried many times, but he still failed. However, they did not give up and had been studying it. Chapter 22-28. The Ancient Indestructible Scroll is Born. Chapter 22-28. The Ancient Indestructible Scroll is born. Winter left and spring came. Time flew by. Lu Ming had been cultivating here for 3 years. After 3 years of hard work, he had reached the first level of perfection in the penetrating laws. Lu Ming's physical body and holy power had become more powerful after being tempered time and time again. His physical strength was extremely strong, and his saint power was extremely condensed. Furthermore, his usage of nomological laws was getting stronger and stronger. The power of the sacred art techniques he created had increased greatly. Compared to 3 years ago, Lu Ming's combat strength had increased by a lot. However, the life law was still a bit off and had not reached perfection. It was still at 99%. Lu Ming was not in a hurry. It was true that it would take longer to cultivate an ultimate maxim, and this was under the path understanding ancient tree. If he were outside, it would be impossible to cultivate so many maxims to the completion of the first realm in 3 years. It was still the same flat land. Lu Ming and Dandan were fighting. Buzz. Buzz. Lu Ming held the sword of death and slashed continuously. The power was extremely shocking. However, he waved his hand casually and used all kinds of laws to block Lu Ming's attack easily. Just a little bit more, just a little bit more. Lu Ming's gaze was firm and persistent. He was trying to integrate the chaos laws into the sword of death. Just a little bit more, melt. Suddenly, Lu Ming let out a loud roar. The laws in his body surged and the sword of death in his hand trembled continuously. The sword's howl was shocking. Buzz. Suddenly, the power of the sword of death increased dramatically, and a terrifying sword light slashed toward Dandan. Not only did this strike contain the power of death from the law of death, but it also contained the mountain-heavy power of the law of chaos. It was a success. Lu Ming was ecstatic. However, the next moment, his body trembled violently. He felt 2 ultimate maxims burst forth with a terrifying tearing force. His palm was about to be torn apart by this tearing force. Nest. On the other side, Dandan shouted loudly. With a shake of her palm, a turtle shell appeared like a shield and blocked in front of him. Boom. With a loud bang, the turtle shell shield condensed by Dandan exploded. Dandan quickly retreated and avoided the sharp edge of the death sword. Kid, you've successfully fused? Dandan looked at Lu Ming. The sword of death disappeared from Lu Ming's hand. His palm and even his arm were covered in cracks, and blood was oozing out. He circulated his life law, quickly healing the wound on his arm. Unfortunately, the two nomological laws will still clash and explode with shocking power. I've even injured myself. Lu Ming smiled bitterly. This is normal. You've just started the fusion and are not familiar with it yet, but this proves that our direction is right. As long as we keep trying, the side effects will disappear. Haha, we've created history. If this gets out, it'll probably scare people to death. Dandan was extremely excited. Lu Ming also revealed a smile. He understood that after such a long period of hard work, he had finally succeeded. Although the fusion of the two ultimate maxims would cause him to be injured, it was only incomplete now. As he continued to perfect it in the future, these side effects would definitely disappear. Under the effects of the life law, the wound on Lu Ming's arm had completely healed. Dandan again. Lu Ming rushed towards Dandan. Where else could he find such a good sparring partner? Boom. The sword of death reappeared in Lu Ming's hand. Then, the law of chaos burst out and fused with the sword of death. Buzz. This time, he was about to succeed, but they still clashed. There was a terrifying explosion of power, causing Lu Ming's arm to be covered in wounds. However, the power of this sword had reached a shocking level. Dan had to concentrate to block it. This could be said to be Lu Ming's strongest killing move. In the future, 111 merged the life laws into it, and its power will definitely be even stronger. Lu Ming thought to himself. Lu Ming was about to continue with Dandan when a figure flashed and a white-haired old man appeared. It was Gu Xinghui. This was the first time Gu Xinghui had appeared in the past 3 years. Brother Lu Ming, it seems that you have made great progress over the years. Gu Xinghui said with a smile. Many thanks to Senior for bringing this junior here to cultivate. Otherwise, this junior would have had to cultivate for several more years to reach my current achievements. Lu Ming said. You brat, how come you have time to come here today? Dandan walked over and said loudly. Of course it's something big. Gu Xinghui said. Something big? What's the big deal? Dandan asked curiously. Mount Eternal has appeared. It said that the indestructible ancient scroll is hidden in Mount Eternal. Gu Xinghui said. What? Dandan almost jumped up with her eyes shining. She stared at Gu Xinghui and said, Are you telling the truth? It's true. Mount Eternal has appeared from the void and is now hovering above Yaoguang Ancient City. Countless experts in the Taiqing Heaven region are heading there to get the indestructible ancient scroll. That's why I'm here to ask if you're going. Gu Xinghui said. Of course we're going. We can't miss the indestructible ancient scroll of the undying venerable emperor. Dandan's eyes lit up. On the other hand, Lu Ming and Mulan were a little dumbfounded. They had never heard of Mount Eternal or the indestructible ancient scroll. This indestructible ancient scroll is so magical? Lu Ming asked. Of course. It said that those who cultivate the indestructible ancient scroll cannot die. Their vitality is extremely strong. Even a drop of blood, a strand of hair, or a wisp of soul can be recovered. Although the life maxim has a tenacious life force, it's still far inferior to cultivating the indestructible ancient scroll. The indestructible ancient scroll is the special skill of the undying venerable sovereign. Do you know about it? He's in existence on par with the Chaos the Arch. He explained a lot. Lu Ming was shocked. He was shocked by the unbelievable power of the indestructible ancient scroll and also by the strength of the undying venerable emperor. According to Dandan, those who could be called venerable sovereigns were all invincible figures, respected among the emperors and invincible. For example, the Chaos Monarch and the Undying Monarch. Since the immortal venerable sovereign is so strong, then how can anyone else obtain the indestructible ancient scroll? If we go, wouldn't we just be courting death? Lu Ming asked curiously. The undying venerable sovereign is long dead. Dandan said. He's dead. How could such a person, who cultivated the indestructible ancient scroll, die? Lu Ming was shocked and puzzled. Sigh, it's the evil god tribe. In ancient times, During the early stages of the Great War, the undying venerable emperor was besieged by several people of the same level from the evil god tribe. In the end, he was annihilated, leaving nothing behind. Even with the undying ancient scroll, he still died. Ever since the death of the undying emperor, Mount Eternal, where he lived, has escaped into the endless void, wandering in the eternal dark void. No one has been able to find it. One really didn't expect that Mount Eternal would suddenly appear in the world. Many people are guessing that the ancient indestructible scripture is about to be reborn. Gu Xinghui sighed. Lu Ming also looked tempted. All right, let's go and take a look. Lu Ming said. Chapter 2229. Chapter 2229. Celestial Emperor's Attack. Chapter 2229. Chapter 2229. Celestial Emperor's Attack. Before he became a Saint Emperor, he could go out for a walk and adjust his state of mind in preparation for becoming a Saint Emperor. At the same time, he could also try his luck. If he could really obtain the indestructible ancient scroll, then he would be extremely lucky. Immediately, Lu Ming, Mulan, and Dandan followed Gu Xinghui and left the place, arriving at the hall of the Gu family. This time, the Gu family will also send people over to try their luck. Mount Eternal had wandered in the eternal space of darkness for so many years. It had suddenly appeared. It was very difficult to obtain it by relying on cultivation alone. One needed luck. Therefore, the Gu family sent out some heaven's favorites. Guingzhong, the number one heaven's favorite of the Gu family, was naturally among them. However, there were also quite a number of experts, including those of the True Emperor Realm and Great Emperor Realm. They were all led by the Gu family's master. The group soared into the sky and headed to the nearest teleportation zone. Yaoguang Ancient City was located in the western part of the Taiqing Heavenly region. After a few days, the Gu family arrived at the ancient city. Yaoguang Ancient City was one of the oldest ancient cities in the Heaven Realm. In the Heaven Realm, there weren't many that could be called ancient cities. Every one of them had been built over countless years and was full of the marks of time. During this period of time, this ancient city that had been around for countless years had become extremely lively. There was a sea of people, all of them experts. Experts from all over the Taiqing Heavenly region had arrived. Not only the human race, but also the other divine beast races. For example, true dragons, heavenly tigers, phoenixes, and others could be seen from time to time. In the sky above the north gate of Yaoguang Ancient City, there was a huge divine mountain floating there. It was huge and majestic, like the legendary ancient divine mountain. This was Mount Eternal. Lu Ming and the group did not enter Yaoguang Ancient City at first. Instead, they headed towards Mount Eternal. Boom, boom. Even from a distance, they could see the dazzling lights flashing non-stop and hear the shocking rumbles. Someone wanted to ascend Mount Eternal, and it was a very shocking expert. Lu Ming saw a figure shrouded in divine light charging towards Mount Eternal at an alarming speed. However, no matter how fast he charged towards Mount Eternal, it seemed that he could not cross the seemingly long distance and could not get close to it. On Mount Eternal, there was a layer of light. It seemed to have stopped there, but it could not get close. Is that a heavenly emperor? Someone from the Gu family asked in a hoarse voice. That's right, he is indeed a heavenly emperor. The Gu family's master said. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Even a heavenly emperor couldn't climb Mount Eternal? Buzz. At this moment, a bird cry resounded through the sky. Everyone saw a phoenix spreading its wings and flying towards Mount Eternal. The aura that this phoenix exuded was heaven-shaking and earth-shattering. Its body was even larger, and its wings were wide open, covering the sky and covering the sun. This was definitely a terrifying phoenix. Its cultivation was no weaker than the human expert from before. Without a doubt, it was in existence in the heavenly emperor realm. With a flap of its wings, the void collapsed, forming a terrifying dark space. It flew toward Mount Eternal at a speed unimaginable to ordinary people. However, this terrifying phoenix still found it difficult to ascend Mount Eternal. A roar spread in all directions. A huge white tiger, filled with endless killing intent, rushed towards Mount Eternal. But just like the phoenix, it still found it difficult to climb the mountain. The white tiger roared in anger and extended a giant claw. It was incomparably terrifying and was even larger than a mountain. It grabbed towards Mount Eternal from the sky. Clearly, the white tiger couldn't climb the mountain and was extremely furious, wanting to blow up Mount Eternal. Its giant claw was even bigger than Mount Eternal. Unfortunately, when it grabbed down, Mount Eternal was like an illusion. It grabbed nothing and nothing. Following that, everyone saw a few more powerful existences trying to climb Mount Eternal, but to no avail. There were many people watching nearby. Lu Ming and the rest learned from the people who were watching that during this period of time, no less than 10 heavenly emperor stage existences had come here. They had used various methods to try to ascend Mount Eternal and obtain the indestructible ancient scroll, but all of them had failed. There were also people of the Heavenly Emperor Realm, True Emperor Realm, and Empty Emperor Realm, but they all failed. Some people speculated that the indestructible ancient scroll hadn't appeared yet, and it was obviously impossible to obtain it by relying on strength. One must know that the undying venerable emperor was an invincible figure. Many people stayed in Yaoguang Ancient City and waited for the opportunity. Lu Ming and the group looked around Mount Eternal but found nothing. Even Dandan shook her head. They could only go to Yaoguang Ancient City and find a place to stay. Yaoguang Ancient City. One heard that it is one of the oldest cities in the Heaven Realm. Many experts have been born in history and many historical sites have been left behind. How about we go and take a look? The solitary shadow invited Lu Ming, Dandan, and Mu Lan again. The Gu family had been living in seclusion for generations and rarely came out. The chances of Guing coming out were not many either. If it wasn't for the indestructible ancient scroll, the Gu family wouldn't have brought them out. It was rare for him to come out, so he was naturally very curious. All right. Lu Ming and the rest nodded. Together with Gu Ingchong, they left their residence and strolled around Yaoguang Ancient City. The Alcade Ancient City was not only ancient, but it also occupied a large area. There were countless streets and countless ancient ruins. For example, there were Dao Comprehension Stone Tablets. These Dao Comprehension Stone Tablets had the marks of the great Dao left by experts, which were of great help to those below the Martial Supreme Realm. Many people below the Martial Supreme Realm sat cross-legged under the Dao Comprehension Monument, quietly comprehending and cultivating. There was another place with many statues. They were all famous statues from past generations. Each of them exuded a domineering will that made people admire them. Many people, including Lu Ming and a few others, were watching. Guys, look. That's the statue of the top 10 battle beasts, Gu Ingzhong said in a low voice. Lu Ming looked over and saw many statues of different species. It was a 9 dragon with a winding body and 9 dragon claws under its belly. The scales on its body were clearly visible and vivid, as if the 9 dragons had come back to life. One of them was a giant elephant the size of a small mountain. Its muscles were clearly defined and it seemed to possess explosive power. This was the Archean dragon-esque elephant. Next, he saw the Titan longhorn beetle, the undying celestial hoe, the 9 lives devilish silkworm. These were the statues of the top 10 beasts. He saw a total of 9, but he didn't see the statue of the world turtle. Dandan, one don't think you're in the list. It seems that your reputation is not good enough, or others think that you don't deserve to be on par with the other 9. Lu Ming looked at Dandan and teased her. Bullshit, the people who carved these statues must be ignorant or have a grudge against me. Damn it, they actually didn't put my statue in. Dandan was extremely unhappy and gritted her teeth. Finally, her eyes lit up and she said, I know, they must be unable to carve out my majestic spirit, so they don't have a statue of me. It must be like this, ha. Lu Ming and the group looked at him with disdain. After a while, they left the place. Lu Ming, is that you? How did you come to the Heaven Realm? Right at this moment, a voice rang out. It seemed to be extremely surprised. Luo Zongqiong? The Stellar River. Lu Ming turned his head and there was a cold glint in his eyes. Chapter 2230, Chapter 2231, Killed in One Move. Chapter 2230, Chapter 2231 Killed in one move. Not far away, a few young men walked over. Two of them were Lu Ming's old acquaintances Luo Zhangqiong and the Eternal Star River from the Primordial Realm. There was a young man beside them who Lu Ming did not know. Luo Zhangqiong and Heng Xinghe seemed to be very surprised. Back then, Heavenly Emperor Kong Yin did not bring Lu Ming to the Heaven Realm. How did Lu Ming appear in the Heaven Realm now? After the shock, there was a cold killing intent. Luo Zhangqiong and Heng Xinghe were the same. They did not hide their killing intent at all. Their figures flickered and they surrounded Lu Ming and the others. Lu Ming, one didn't expect you to come to the Heaven Realm. Can't you just stay in the Primordial Realm and enjoy your old age? You just had to come to the Heaven Realm to die. That's good, it saves me the trouble of making a special trip. Luo Zhangqiong said coldly, and a powerful aura emanated from his body. A two-star illusionary emperor seemed to have reached the peak of the two-star illusionary emperor realm, and could become a three-star illusionary emperor at any time. At the same time, two kinds of laws emanated from his body. They were both King Path laws, and they were both at the completion of the first realm. Obviously, Luo Zhangqiong had made great progress after coming to the Heaven Realm. During the Battle of the Ten Lands, Luo Zhangqiong had just broken through to the one-star Void Emperor realm. Now, he had reached the peak of the two-star Void Emperor realm, comprehended the second kind of law, and reached the peak of the first realm. To be able to make such progress in 5 years was already considered very fast. He had definitely received a large amount of resources to cultivate. In the Martial Emperor realm, the distance between each step was extremely large and difficult to cross. If one did not have the resources and just cultivated diligently, it would take a long time. Lu Ming glanced at Luo Zhangqiong indifferently and said, "I haven't seen you for 5 years. You've made some progress, but do you think you're my match?" His voice was filled with disdain. Luo Kangqiong's face turned ugly. He did not have much confidence in going up against Lu Ming alone. During the Battle of the Ten Lands, Lu Ming could fight against the Heaven's Pride, who had mastered the strongest law and was much stronger than him now. To his knowledge, Lu Ming was an unparalleled cripple. If he could not become a martial emperor, his combat strength would not be any different from 5 years ago. There would not be any improvement. However, he was not Lu Ming's match now. However, he wasn't afraid because there were other people beside him. Lu Ming, this isn't the Primordial Realm, nor is it 5 years ago. Luo Zhangqiong said coldly. Oh, are you talking about the two of them? Lu Ming smiled indifferently, his gaze sweeping across the galaxy and the unfamiliar young man. I alone am enough. Xing Chen spoke, showing great confidence. The cultivation of the Eternal Star River had already reached the 3-star illusionary divine stage. His progress was amazing, having crossed 2 levels. At the same time, his nomological laws had also made amazing progress. His combat strength was much stronger than it had been 5 years ago in the Battle of Ten Lands. The Eternal Star River was no longer any weaker than the Heaven Realm's proud sons of heaven who had descended upon the Primordial Realm. His talent was very strong, no weaker than those Heaven Realm's geniuses. Now that he had received the Heaven Realm's resources, his progress was rapid. He had enough confidence that he could defeat Lu Ming alone. He's the peerless trash from the Primordial Realm? The unfamiliar young man said. This person's cultivation was not weak either. He was a 3-star Void Emperor and controlled 3 types of laws. Although he did not have an ultimate law, 2 of his King Path laws had already reached the 2nd realm. His strength was also very shocking. That's right, it's him. Luo Zhangqiong said in a cold voice. Many people have bragged about him. One want to see how powerful he is today. The strange young man sneered. Those people who are boasting are just his friends. Lu Ming, you'll die today. Luo Zhangqiong sneered. Back then, in the world of the Lotus Flower, Luo Zhangqiong had been tortured by Lu Ming. Luo Pokong was killed by Lu Ming in public, and he was stepped on by Lu Ming in public. He was even treated as a human weapon and fought against the Eternal Star River. He had lost all face. He had always wanted to take revenge. However, at the Battle of the Ten Lands, Lu Ming's abilities had shocked him. What happened after that made him ecstatic. Lu Ming actually had a peerless crippled body and could not go to the heaven realm to cultivate. He was overjoyed and decided to return to the primordial realm to kill Lu Ming with his own hands after his cultivation in the heaven realm was successful. He did not expect to meet Lu Ming in the heaven realm. However, his desire to kill Lu Ming would not change. Lu Ming, give me the celestial thearch's corporeal body and he'll give you a quick death. Xing Chen said coldly. Of course, he was sending a voice transmission to Lu Ming. He did not wish for others to know about the celestial thearch's physical body. In his opinion, the celestial emperor's corporeal body should belong to him. Anyone who touched it would have to die. He had to kill Lu Ming too. The three people from the Star River had completely ignored Dandan, Gaingchong, and Mulan. How powerful could he be when he was with Lu Ming, who had a crippled body? They disdained it. Lu Ming, who are these three fools? You've been farting the moment you came, Dandan said unhappily. His words made the faces of Luo Zhangqiong and the other two people of Xinghe River darken. Originally, it was none of your business, but now, you have to die as well and be responsible for your own words. Luo Zhangqiong said coldly. Nest, this kid doesn't have any ability at all, but he's very arrogant. I'll kill him with one slap. Dandan was even more displeased and rolled up her sleeves, ready to make a move. Leave them to me, I'll deal with them. Lu Ming waved his hand and stopped Dandan. You'll settle it? Let's see how you're going to solve this. The unfamiliar young man said coldly. He took a step forward and charged toward Lu Ming. His palm was like a blade, and he slashed down with all his might. It was like a heavenly blade. The power of his three-star illusionary emperor world burst out completely. 3 kinds of king path laws also burst out at the same time. 2 of them had already reached the second realm, and their power was extremely amazing. This attack shattered the void. The terrifying saber light slashed at Lu Ming, trying to cut him in half. Countless people in the surroundings were alarmed and looked over. Lu Ming's expression did not change at all in the face of this attack. He was very calm. Boom. Just as the saber beam was about to hit Lu Ming, he made his move and pointed his finger. A finger force hit the blade light, and the blade light shattered. The finger force didn't stop, and it pointed at the strange young man at an amazing speed. The strange young man's pupils contracted sharply, and his eyes revealed a look of fear as he retreated frantically. However, Lu Ming's finger force was even faster and caught up with the strange young man in an instant. No! No! The strange young man shouted in fear. At this moment, his heart was filled with fear and regret. He had never dreamed that Lu Ming, who was just a cripple, could be so powerful. He was even more powerful than the rumors said. His attack was actually useless. He could feel death approaching. He roared. He wanted to escape, but it was too late. The finger force pierced through his forehead and destroyed his soul. The unfamiliar young man's eyes were wide open and filled with unwillingness. Then, his corpse fell heavily to the ground. The pupils of Luo Zhangqiong and Xing Xing he also contracted sharply. Chapter 2231, The Despair of the Galaxy. Chapter 2231, The Despair of the Galaxy. They were well aware of the strange young man's combat strength. He was a very good Heaven's Pride expert in the Heaven Realm. His combat strength was far above Luo Kangqiong's, and he was not much weaker than the Star River. But now, he was killed by Lu Ming in one move. Wasn't Lu Ming's combat strength even stronger than the current galaxy? Didn't Lu Ming have a crippled body? If he could not become a martial emperor, how could his combat strength increase so quickly? They couldn't figure it out. All they could think of now was to run. The Star River and Luo Zhangqiong retreated at almost the same time. Seeing that you can't win, you want to run, have you asked me? Hee hee. Lu Ming sneered. He took a step forward and caught up with Luo Zhangqiong in an instant like a ray of light. Luo Kangqiong's eyes were filled with fear. The unfamiliar young man's combat strength was above his, but he was killed by Lu Ming in one move. If Lu Ming wanted to kill him, he would not need a second move. Lu Ming, you can't kill me. If you kill me, my grandfather will never let you off. Luo Zhangqiong roared. Your grandfather? He already attacked me in the primordial realm. Unfortunately, he's seriously injured now, and one don't know where he's gone to recuperate. I'll personally take his head one day. Lu Ming sneered. He had to kill Luo Zhangqiong. Back then, it was because of Luo Zhangqiong that Qiu Yu had fallen into a desperate situation and almost couldn't wake up. Later on, Luo Kangqiang's grandfather, Emperor Tian Luo, met up with the emperor of the Mu family and went to the ancient moon sanctuary to kill him. It could be said that he, the Daluo heaven sect, and the Luo family had long been mortal enemies. Even if Luo Zhangqiong didn't come to him, he would go to him. Since he had met him today, he would not let him go. Impossible! Upon hearing Lu Ming's words, Luo Zhangqiong roared in disbelief. Have a safe trip. Lu Ming spoke indifferently and pointed his finger. Without any suspense, Luo Kangqiang's glabella was pierced through by the finger force. His soul was destroyed and he died on the spot. At this point, the two king physiques of the Daluo heaven sect had been killed by Lu Ming. After killing Luo Zhangqiong, Lu Ming chased after him in the Star River. At this moment, the galaxy used all its strength and flew at high speed. He had a feeling that if he did not leave today, he would not be able to leave. Lu Ming's combat strength had exceeded his imagination. However, he still had hope. Lu Ming had a crippled body and could never become a martial emperor. Even if he could improve his combat strength, there was a limit. He, on the other hand, could continue to improve. He did not believe that he would not be able to kill Lu Ming after he broke through to the true emperor realm. As long as he was alive, he would be able to kill Lu Ming. So he used all his strength to run for his life, but when he looked back, he was scared out of his wits. It was because Lu Ming was not far away from him. Hengxing River, go down and accompany Luo Zhangqiong, so that he won't be lonely, Lu Ming said coldly. He displayed his six-feathered divine wings, and his speed was extremely shocking. With a flap of his transparent wings, he approached the eternal Star River. Kill! The galaxy stopped and shouted. An eternal god clock appeared and vibrated. Now, the cultivation base of the galaxy was much stronger than before. It had reached the three-star Void Emperor realm, the second realm of the eternal law, and it had also mastered a king path law. Hence, the power of the eternal god bell was many times stronger than it had been in the past. Layers of sound waves rushed out and turned into sharp swords, slashing at Lu Ming. It was extremely terrifying. This move again. Star River, this move is useless against me. Lu Ming spoke indifferently and struck out with his palm. Boom. The void exploded, and the terrifying palm force rushed toward the Star River like a mountain. The sharp swords formed by the sound waves of the eternal god bell exploded and collapsed one after another. The power of the palm did not stop. It surged towards the stellar river and bombarded the eternal god bell. Thump! The eternal god bell trembled violently and cracks appeared on it. Xing's body was sent flying like a cannonball and he coughed up blood in the air. How is that possible? The galaxy roared in disbelief. How could Lu Ming's combat strength be so strong? In the 5 years he had been in the heaven realm, the eternal Star River had obtained a large amount of resources. There were even some great figures who valued him and took him in as a disciple. He was a heavenly emperor. After being a disciple of the heavenly emperor and being nurtured by the heavenly emperor, he had made great progress in all aspects. His combat strength had also soared. But even so, after 5 years, he was even more vulnerable when he met Lu Ming again. He found it hard to accept. These people are so weak. They came to kill Lu Ming? Dandan pursed her lips, feeling speechless. He's completely courting death. Guangzhong was also speechless. Meanwhile, the surrounding onlookers were also in a heated discussion. Who is that person? What powerful combat strength? I heard them talking about a peerless cripple. What's that about? I don't know, one know. I heard that the primordial realm produced a peerless cripple who has yet to become a sovereign, but he has already mastered many nomological laws, even 2 of the strongest nomological laws. What? He can control 2 types of ultimate laws? The scene was in an uproar. Many people exclaimed, but even more people didn't believe it. They didn't believe that anyone could master 2 ultimate maxims. It was impossible. No one had ever done it in history. In the sky, Lu Ming did not stop and continued to charge toward the galaxy. Casting the 6-feathered divine wings, Lu Ming's speed was extremely fast. With a flash of his wings, he crossed the void and caught up with the eternal star river in an instant. Thump! Lu Ming struck out with his palm again, and it hit the eternal god bell in the galaxy. This time, the eternal god clock that covered Xing's body exploded. Xing's body emitted the sound of bones breaking. His body was sent flying and he spat out a large mouthful of blood. Lu Ming had not used his full strength. His palm only contained 4 types of laws: Chaos Law, Devour Law, Penetration Law, and Extreme Law. In the past few years, Lu Ming had improved too much. After refining a trace of energy from the ancestral dragon blood, his physical strength had increased greatly. At the same time, the law of alchemy, the law of craftsmanship, and the law of penetration were perfected one after another. Lu Ming's body and saint energy had improved a lot after tempering his body and saint energy. The strength of the galaxy was not weaker than Lan Yun and Yan Shi, whom Lu Ming had encountered 3 years ago. At that time, Lu Ming would need to use all his strength to fight against experts like Lan Yun or Yan Shi. But now, Lu Ming had also used 4 types of laws. He had not even used his ultimate move and he could already achieve a crushing defeat. He could completely crush them. Let's go! Lu Ming chased after the galaxy. The stellar river erupted in a frenzy as it tried its best to escape. Lu Ming, you can't kill me. My master is the Celestial the Arch. At the same time, Xingchen roared and brought up his master, hoping that Lu Ming would have some reservations. However, he knew very well that Lu Ming was a lawless person. He could not be intimidated. As expected, Lu Ming was unmoved and continued to chase after him. The eternal star river revealed a look of despair. Lu Ming, stop. At this moment, a furious roar was heard. Then, a terrifying fist force blasted toward Lu Ming from the sky. Chapter 2232, Chapter 2231, Endless Enemies. Chapter 2232, Chapter 2231 Endless Enemies. Initially, Lu Ming had wanted to completely kill the Hengxing River and get rid of this trouble. However, at this moment, a fist force crossed the void and headed towards Lu Ming. Its power was extremely shocking. The laws of chaos. Lu Ming could sense the fluctuation of the chaos laws in the fist force. Without thinking, Lu Ming struck out with his palm. Boom! Lu Ming's palm and the fist force collided heavily. The void exploded and trembled continuously. A strong wind swept in all directions. Xingxing River's body trembled and was swept away by the aftershock. He spat out a few more mouthfuls of blood. Lu Ming's gaze was fixed on the sky. A burly figure stepped through the air and looked down at Lu Ming. Yuan Exin. The corners of Lu Ming's lips curled up slightly. It was a coincidence that he met old acquaintances from the primordial realm today. The laws of chaos. That's Yuan Exin, the son of chaos from the primordial realm. I've heard of him before. He's very talented. After coming to the heaven realm, he was immediately accepted as a disciple by a top master. He received a lot of resources and made rapid progress. Some time ago, he defeated several famous Heaven's Pride experts in the heaven realm. I've also heard of him. This person's talent is indeed amazing. He has the potential to compete with the 9 Ju in the future. This time, the primordial realm has indeed produced many people with shocking talent. Besides Yuan Exin, there's one more person who's even more terrifying. He was born to be the son of fate and can control the nomological laws of fate. There are also a few paragons from the archaic system who are also extremely terrifying. Clearly, 5 years had passed, and the prodigies who had come to the primordial realm were all rising rapidly. They had made a name for themselves in the heaven realm and were known by many experts in the heaven realm. Yuan Xin's eyes glowed as he looked down at Lu Ming. A strong fighting spirit emanated from his body. Lu Ming, I didn't expect you to come to the heaven realm. Although you can't become a divine emperor, your combat strength has reached this level. It's really shocking. But this is good. You'll feel more when I kill you. As she spoke, Yuan Xin's eyes revealed a hint of ferocity. Do you remember what one said to you in the Ten Lands battle? If you are defeated by me once, you will never be my opponent. Lu Ming spoke indifferently, his voice filled with disdain. You're talking big. A cripple can never become a saint emperor. Where did you get your confidence from? Yuan Xen shouted coldly as a shocking aura erupted from his body. A 4-star illusionary emperor. This was Yuan Xin's current cultivation. A 4-star void emperor was already a high-level void emperor, which was much stronger than a 3-star void emperor. The powerful power of the world was surging, and the power of nomological laws surrounded Yuan Xen, making her look like a god of war. 3 types of laws, the laws of chaos. He's already at the 2nd realm. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He had a rough estimate of Yuan Xin's combat strength. Do you still have confidence now? Yuan Xen said, full of confidence. To him, meeting Lu Ming today was great news. During the Battle of the Ten Lands, he had been defeated by Tian Ming and Lu Ming one after another. He was still brooding over it. Today, he could defeat Lu Ming. Another day, he would defeat Tian Ming. He wanted to prove to everyone that he was the #1 heaven's favorite in Yuan continent. In the future, he would defeat the strongest heaven's favorite in the heaven realm and stand at the peak. This was his ambition. Lu Ming, he's ours. At this moment, a cold voice sounded. In the distance, a few rainbow lights flew over at high speed. The next moment, a few figures appeared in the sky. The powerful aura and cold killing intent were not concealed at all as they pressed toward Lu Ming. Lan Yun Yen Shi. Lu Ming's gaze flickered. It seemed that he had met a few old acquaintances. They were Lan Yun and Yen Shi. When the two of them looked at Lu Ming, their gazes were particularly cold. Lu Ming, I'll kill you today. Lan Yun coldly spoke. Back then, he was so badly abused by Dandan because of Lu Ming. Later on, he did not get the treasure because Lu Ming stopped him. Then, the two of them glanced at Dandan and Mulan. Their eyes were filled with cold killing intent and, of course, greed. They recognized Mulan. Back then, there was a small pagoda above Mulan's head. It was definitely a supreme treasure. Today, since he had met her, he would take her together. They were overjoyed. This wasn't a battlefield, so there weren't many rules. It was normal to kill each other. You guys, surround those people. Lan Yun shouted and waved his hand. Following behind Lan Yun and Yen Shi were a few middle-aged men. At this moment, their figures flashed and they surrounded Dandan, Mulan and Guingzhong. These middle-aged men were all at the true emperor realm. Their terrifying aura made Mulan and Gu Yingzhong's expression turn serious. However, their faces darkened and their eyes flickered with an ominous light. Lu Ming, I'll see who can save you today. Lan Yun and Yen Zai's figures flashed and they surrounded Lu Ming. Oh, Lu Ming, it seems that you have offended many people. Yuan Xian sneered. A bunch of clowns. Lu Ming said indifferently. What did you just say? You're looking for death. Lan Yun shouted, his aura even colder. After a few years, Lan Yun and Yen Shi had undoubtedly become stronger. Their cultivations had both reached the level of 4-star Void Emperor, and their nomological laws had also improved. On the surface, they did not seem to be weaker than Yuan Xen. The 3 young experts had Lu Ming surrounded. This trash from the primordial realm has actually offended so many people? He's too overconfident. He's just a cripple who can never become a Saint Emperor. How dare he be so arrogant? Isn't he courting death? I heard that he's very famous in the Yuan continent. He was the first among the younger generation in the Yuan continent. That's normal. He's not a Saint Emperor yet, but he's already mastered so many laws. His combat power must be very strong. Unfortunately, he doesn't have the potential to become a Saint Emperor. I think he's used to being arrogant, so he doesn't recognize his own situation. The others can keep improving, but he's still so arrogant. He doesn't have much time left. He's probably going to die today. Some people discussed and felt that Lu Ming would definitely die today. Lan Yun, Yan Shi, and Yuan Xian were all much stronger than Xing Qin. Now that the three of them were clearly going against Lu Ming, did he still have a chance? Brother Lu Ming. At this moment, a joyful voice was heard. The voice was crisp and pleasant to the ears. Then, there was a flash in the void and a figure suddenly appeared on Lu Ming's shoulder. Lu Ming did not avoid it because he knew who it was the moment he heard the voice. Bubbles. Bubble. Lu Ming called out, a smile on his face. It seemed that Bubbles had arrived as well. It had been 5 years since they last met, but Bubbles was still the same as before. She did not grow much older and still looked like she was 2 or 3 years old. Brother Lu Ming. The bubble hung on Lu Ming's neck and its small head rubbed against Lu Ming's body. It was reluctant to let go. Yuan Xin's eyes turned grim when she saw Bubbles approaching. Bubbles was a space-time spirit mouse. Ever since she came to the heaven realm, she had been placed in an important position and was greatly nurtured. Her cultivation base had improved even more rapidly, and her current strength was no weaker than his. Chapter 2233. All of you can come together. Chapter 2233. All of you can come together. After a long while, Bubbles raised her head and looked at Yuan Xian, Lan Yun, and Yan Shi. What are these guys trying to do? You're asking for a beating. Pow Pow pouted as she looked at Lan Yun, Yan Shi, and the rest unkindly. Sir, that's space-time spirit mouse. Lan Yun and Yan Shi had also recognized Bubbles. A young top 10 war beast was too rare, and its talent was astonishing. Bubbles' arrival had caused a stir back then. Many people knew that a space-time spirit mouse had come from the primordial realm. Furthermore, the moment he arrived, he was taken in as a disciple by a terrifying god beast and was taught with great care. He improved at an amazing speed and his battle strength was even stronger. During this period of time, many heaven's favorites have lost to her. Lan Yun and Yan Shi naturally knew about it as well. At the same time, they were also rather afraid of the existence behind Bubbles. They did not expect Lu Ming to know Bubbles and that they seemed to be on good terms. Hey, tell me, are you the ones who want to go against Brother Lu Ming? If you want to make a move, you'll have to get past me first. Bubbles waved her little fists and glanced at Lan Yun and Yan Shi. This is none of your business. Lan Yun coldly spoke. Who says it's not related? Pow Pow glared at Lan Yun. You'd better stay out of this. The Lan family might not be afraid of the person behind you. Lan Yun spoke again. Nonsense, if you want to fight, then fight, chirp chirp. Paoba was enraged and was about to attack. Bubble, I can handle these people myself. Lu Ming smiled and stopped Bubbles. Oh, Brother Lu Ming, beat them up for me, Chirpy. Bubbles shouted. Then she turned her gaze and saw Dandan. Her big eyes immediately lit up, and with a move, she immediately appeared on Dandan's shoulder. Little turtle, long time no see, Chirpy. Pow Pow blinked her large eyes as she sized up Dandan. Although Dandan had transformed into a human and had even used a mysterious technique to conceal her aura, Bubbles and Dandan were both top 10 war beasts and had extremely sharp senses. Bubbles recognized Dandan with a single glance. Dandan's face turned even darker. You're the little turtle. Your entire family are little turtles. Dandan said unhappily. You're clearly the little turtle, aren't you? Chirp chirp. Pow Pow pouted and said. Don't compare me to an ordinary little turtle, Dandan said angrily as she and Bubbles stared at each other and bickered. Lu Ming smiled and glanced at Lan Yun, Yan Shi, and Yuan Xian. He said indifferently, since you all want to kill me, then come at me together. Don't waste time. His words shocked everyone present. What? This cripple actually asked Lan Yun and the others to attack him together. Is he crazy? Although his combat strength is not bad, he's simply courting death by being so arrogant. The others were shocked, and the faces of Lan Yun and the others became even gloomier. Lu Ming wanted to fight the three of them alone. He was simply courting death. This was an insult to them. I alone am enough to deal with you. Lan Yun made the first move. He shot out a punch, and a lion's roar reverberated through the firmament. On his fist, there was a lion jumping and roaring, its power shocking. This was a mystical ability passed down in Lan Yun's family, and it came from an ancient scripture. Compared to 3 years ago, Lan Yun was undoubtedly more powerful. Not only did he have a breakthrough in cultivation, but his nomological laws were also more profound. He had already comprehended a third type of nomological law and had reached the stage of the first realm perfection. With a punch, the lion's roar shook the sky and the wind howled, crushing toward Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming's expression was calm. He simply struck out with his palm. Lu Ming still only used the chaos law, the extremity law, the engulfing law, and the penetration law in this palm. However, Lu Ming's physical body trembled and an even stronger force erupted. Boom! Lu Ming's palm collided with Lan Yun's fist, and a shocking tremor erupted. Then, Lan Yun retreated rapidly. The lion on his fist let out a wail and exploded. Bang! 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 Lan Yun retreated a few dozen steps, his eyes revealing shock and disbelief. Lu Ming had actually forced him back with one palm. How was this possible? 3 years ago, Lu Ming's abilities were only slightly stronger than his. After 3 years, his combat strength had increased tremendously. Why was he forced to retreat by Lu Ming's palm? Didn't Lu Ming have a crippled body? He could not become an emperor. Why did his strength progress so shockingly? He really could not figure it out. The others couldn't figure it out either, and they all opened their mouths wide. Yuan Xin's pupils also constricted, and her heart trembled. I've said it before. The 3 of you should come at me together. Don't waste my time. Lu Ming said, his voice spreading far and wide. Lan Yun, Yan Shi, and Yuan Xin's faces turned ugly. At this moment he didn't know whether to retreat or fight. If you guys aren't going to do it, I'll do it. Lu Ming was extremely powerful. He stepped into the air and attacked. Boom, boom, boom. He struck out 3 palm strikes in a row. 3 powerful palm prints whizzed out and headed toward Yuan Xian, Lan Yun, and Yan Shi respectively. Since you're looking for death, I'll fulfill your wish. Let's attack together. Yan Shi shouted. He made his move. A saber appeared in his hand and he slashed at Lu Ming. Lan Yun attacked as well. His fists were constantly blasting out, and there was a lion jumping on both fists, constantly roaring. The power was extremely shocking. At the same time, Yuan Xian made his move as well. He used all his strength and waved his fists. He condensed a mountain with all his strength and charged at Lu Ming. Yuan Xian had undoubtedly become stronger. During the Battle of the 10 Lands, he had only mastered a single law superpower technique. Now, he had mastered a higher-level superpower technique. Every attack had the explosion of several laws, with chaos laws as the core, and its power was shocking. The 3 of them joined forces, and the void was boiling. They were completely destroyed. Boom, boom, boom. Their attacks collided with Lu Ming's palm print. The void rumbled continuously and the force swept in all directions. Some of the weaker cultivators were forced to retreat. However, what was shocking was that after the collision, Lu Ming's body did not move at all. He stood in the void and his expression was very calm. He was fighting 1 against 3, and he didn't feel like he was at a disadvantage at all. Impossible! Yuan Xian bellowed in her heart. The power of the world erupted in full force, and mountains crushed toward Lu Ming, trying to crush him into pieces. There were a total of 5 true emperors, and the highest one had even reached the level of a 5-star true emperor. The true emperors attacked at the same time and charged toward Dandan. There were a few true emperors who had extremely shocking battle power and profound mastery of their laws. However, they were still lacking compared to Dandan. Dandan was fighting 1 against 5, but she was not at a disadvantage at all. She even had the upper hand. This shocked the others. They had never expected that this ordinary-looking young Taoist would be so strong. Not only had his cultivation reached the true emperor level, but his combat strength was also ridiculously strong. It was obvious that the cultivation base that Dandan revealed was only that of a one-star true emperor. However, his battle prowess was shockingly high. Even a 5-star true emperor wasn't his match and was suppressed by him. His nomological laws are too terrifying. A 1-star true emperor has already cultivated 9 types of nomological laws to such a realm. It's incredible. Some of the older generation sighed. For a void emperor or a true emperor, the deciding factor of one's combat power was the laws. Although cultivation could also affect one's combat power, it was not as significant as nomological laws. This was especially true for those at the true emperor realm. The number of nomological laws they controlled and the strength of their mastery would greatly affect their combat power. Many people might not be able to cultivate nomological laws to such a level even after cultivating for hundreds of thousands or even millions of years. This was talent. The true emperors of the Lan family and Yen family were being held back by Dandan and couldn't be rescued. Lu Ming's figure flashed and he appeared beside Yan Shi again. He struck a palm and Yan Shi followed in Lan Yun's footsteps, spitting out a large mouthful of blood. "You want to kill me? Today, I'll kill you all," Lu Ming said coldly, his voice icy. He knew that the Lan family and the Yen family were both powerful families in the heaven realm. They had deep foundations and definitely had a celestial emperor. If he killed Lan Yun and Yan Shi, he would be in big trouble. However, the other party had tried to kill him time and time again, which made Lu Ming want to kill them. If worst came to worst, he would just kill them and find a place to hide or go to the Gu family to cultivate in seclusion. Although Lan Yun and Yan Shi were seriously injured, they were not dead yet. At this moment, they were so frightened that they were trembling all over. They used all the strength in their bodies and retreated frantically. At the same time, he shouted, "Come and save me! Junior, you dare!" With a loud roar, a burly old man rushed out of the crowd, picked up a giant hammer, and smashed it toward Lu Ming. "True Emperor!" Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. He did not dare to take it head-on. His 6-feathered divine wings flashed and he dodged the hammer's attack. "Kill him! Kill him!" Lan Yun recognized that it was an expert from the Yen family and immediately shouted, "Kill!" The burly old man held a giant hammer and charged at Lu Ming, wanting to kill him. "You're a true emperor, yet you're attacking a quasi-emperor. You're so fucking shameless. I'll be your opponent." Dandan roared and struck out a few times in succession. His attack method was very special. All the laws were transformed into runes, which could then condense into all kinds of terrifying attacks with shocking power. Bang! Bang! The 2 true emperors in front of Dandan immediately spat out mouthfuls of blood and retreated rapidly. Dandan, on the other hand, charged towards the burly old man. "So what if you have a giant hammer? Look at my hammer, smash!" Dandan shouted, raised her fist, and smashed it towards the other party. As his fist smashed down, cymbals filled the air, and a huge hammer even larger than his opponent's took shape. It smashed down with a loud bang. Thump! The 2 big hammers collided and the void trembled. The burly old man's body shook violently and his arm exploded. He spat out blood and retreated. "Save the young master!" The true emperors who had besieged Dandan previously finally broke free and rushed towards Lan Yun and Yan Shi. Chapter 2235. Chapter 2234. Intervention of Experts. Chapter 2235. Chapter 2234. Intervention of Experts. The true emperors of the Lan family and Yen family who had besieged Dandan finally seized the opportunity. Their figures flickered and appeared beside Lan Yun and Yan Shi. Their world energy rolled up and swept the 2 of them away. They didn't dare to stop. Many people were dumbfounded. Lan Yun and Yan Shi had come in a strong manner and even brought true Emperor Realm experts to kill Lu Ming. In the end, they had to flee in a sorry state. The true Emperor Realm experts were too fast. They were far away in an instant and Lu Ming could not catch up. Lu Ming's gaze was cast in another direction. There, Yuan Xen was also running at full speed with the Star River, not daring to stop at all. "Umph!" Lu Ming snorted coldly and spread his 6-feathered divine wings. With a flap, he chased after Yuan Xin at an extreme speed. How could Yuan Xin's speed be compared to Lu Ming's? Lu Ming caught up with him very quickly. Damn it! Yuan Xin roared angrily, and the galaxy revealed a look of fear. Lu Ming was determined to kill them. Kill! Lu Ming said coldly and pointed his finger. A huge finger shot towards Yuan Xin. Primal Chaos Body. Chaotic Divine Body. Yuan Xin roared and used his Chaotic Divine Body. His current Chaotic Divine Body was very different from before. It had been improved and could fuse with many nomological laws, making it shockingly powerful. Boom! He swung his fists continuously, trying to block Lu Ming's attacks. However, the three of them were not Lu Ming's match previously. He was far behind by himself. The huge finger pressed down, crushing Yuan Xin's fist force as easily as breaking dry weeds. Yuan Xin's body trembled violently, and she retreated frantically, spitting out large mouthfuls of blood. The Star River was also swept away by the aftershock and was sent flying, causing his injuries to worsen. Lu Ming, my master is the Celestial the Arch, Xingchen roared. He was really afraid that he would be killed by Lu Ming here. Is there any point in revealing the person behind this? Lu Ming sneered and strode forward, wanting to be the first to kill Heng Xinghe. Xingchen endured his injuries, unwilling to be killed just like that, and retreated. Boom. However, Lu Ming did not give him the chance. He pointed his finger and a sharp finger force pierced through the void and shot toward Xingchen's glabella. No, Xingchen roared because he couldn't block it at all. He was going to be killed by this move. At this moment, a beam of light suddenly appeared in front of him. This ray of light was like a shield. Lu Ming's finger force bombarded it, but it had no effect at all. Boom. Then, from a distance, a large hand reached out. The hand was huge and fast. The aura it gave off was terrifying. Heavenly Emperor! Lu Ming was shocked. This huge hand exuded the pressure of the heavenly Tao. It was unbelievably powerful. Master! Xingchen shouted in excitement. His master had also come to Yaoguang Ancient City, and he knew that he would be fine. However, the huge hand did not attack Lu Ming and the rest. It grabbed the Hengxing River and Yuan Xin, then retreated rapidly and disappeared. The surrounding people all let out a long breath. The Celestial Emperor's pressure was too strong. Even from a distance, a large hand could make people feel like a mountain was pressing down on them. On the other side of Yaoguang Ancient City, in a luxurious and huge courtyard, the figures of Heng Xinghe and Yuan Xin appeared. In front of them was a gray-robed old man who stood with his hands behind his back. Thank you for saving me, master. Xinghe quickly expressed his thanks. Many thanks, senior. Yuan Xin also bowed. The gray-robed elder nodded. Master, you should have killed Lu Ming. He's so arrogant that he doesn't even care about you. The Eternal Star River Channel wanted to persuade the old man to kill Lu Ming. Shut up! The old man shouted coldly, his eyes emitting a shocking light. The cold aura caused Hengxing's heart to tremble, and he broke out in a cold sweat. I'm a martial sovereign, but I'm no match for an emperor to be and was seriously injured. I'm already thick-skinned enough to save him. You want me, a heavenly sovereign, to kill a junior just because my disciple is no match for him? What would others think of me? The gray-robed elder said, his eyes growing colder and colder. Xing's face turned pale and cold sweat broke out on his face. Yuan Xin, on the other hand, lowered her head and did not dare to speak. Although they were all top-tier heaven's favorites, they were nothing in front of the heavenly emperor. They might not even be able to step into the heavenly emperor realm in the future. Any heavenly emperor was an outstanding talent. When they were young, they were no worse than them. Therefore, they didn't have any pride in front of the heavenly emperor. Also, do you think that the other celestial thearchs won't care if I kill Lu Ming? The heavenly realm is currently facing a great enemy, so there are some rules. Do you understand? The gray-robed elder continued. This disciple is wrong. Xinghe nodded repeatedly. The grudges between the two of you will have to be settled by yourselves. After this matter at Mount Eternal is over, go back and cultivate in seclusion. Don't come out until you break through the true emperor realm. The gray-robed elder instructed. Yes. Xinghe nodded, and at the same time, his eyes flashed with a cold light. Lu Ming, I'll definitely kill you with my own hands in the future. One don't believe that your combat strength will keep increasing even if you can't become a martial emperor. The galaxy roared in its heart. A cold light flashed in Yuan Xin's eyes. She had the same thought as the Hengxing River. In the future, he would personally cut off Lu Ming's head and take the Chaos Scripture. The Chaos Scripture is mine. Yuan Xin roared in her heart. Celestial Emperor's corporeal body is mine. The galaxy gritted its teeth. On the other side, Lu Ming also sighed. This time, he could have killed Yuan Xin and Xingxing River, but it was a pity that Xingxing River's master was in Yaoguang Ancient City, and all his efforts had failed. Lu Ming could also guess that the Heavenly Emperor would not be so shameless as to deal with him, a quasi-emperor. It's okay. As long as you become an emperor, dealing with these small fries will be a piece of cake. Dandan walked over and said with a smile. He knew very well that Lu Ming could comprehend many types of laws and even many types of ultimate laws before he became a great emperor. Once he became a great emperor, there would be shocking changes. Good fight, chirping. The bubble jumped from Dandan's shoulder to Lu Ming's. It hung on Lu Ming's body and rubbed against him. Let's continue shopping. Lu Ming smiled. The group started to stroll around the Yaoguang Ancient City again. At the same time, Lu Ming learned from Bubbles that Long Qin, Ouyang Wushuang, and the rest were still in closed-door cultivation and had not come. After this battle, Lu Ming's name had spread far and wide. Before becoming a sovereign, he had already mastered many laws. It was said that he had mastered different ultimate laws and defeated Yuan Xin, Lan Yun, and Yanxi. Such combat strength was shocking. In the past, Lu Ming's name had only spread among a small group of paragons. Now, many people knew about him. However, there were also many people who did not believe it. With a skeptical attitude, they thought that it was too fake to control different ultimate maxims. They did not believe it. Since ancient times, no one had been able to control two different ultimate maxims. This had been regarded as the truth. How could they believe that a person who had not become a great emperor could control different ultimate maxims? Even those who had seen Lu Ming's moves were skeptical. This was because when Lu Ming was fighting with Lan Yun, Yuan Xin, and the rest, he had only used chaos laws and not any other ultimate laws. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.